Yo, Atlas speaking and welcome to part 2 of What If I Was Reborn in Black Clover as Sekke Bronzazza trained and became the Dark Lord. Let the tale begin. Chapter 26, First Day at the Black Bulls. Sekke, who done with the breakfast and answering Yami's questions, asked Luck, who was now back to normal, to show him around the base. Hey, let's fight, said Luck. In the evening, alright? I need to look around the base first and write a letter to inform my parents, said Sekke. Alright, I won't lose today, said Luck. We will see, said Sekke as he continued looking around. After looking around for a while, Sekke went to find Yami and asked, Yami-san, can I have the empty on the second floor? Huh? Sure, knock yourself out, said Yami without caring much. Sekke nodded and then went back, skipping happily. On his way, he found Asta being led around by Magna. Oi, Sekke, you won't believe this. Magna-senpai gave me the honorable task of feeding Captain Yami's pet beasts, said Asta with an excited tone. Is that so? Good for you, Asta, said Sekke. Anyway, where are you two going? Asked Sekke. I am showing the shrimp around the base. Wanna join us? Said Magna. Nah, Luck showed me around already, said Sekke. But was totally ignored by Magna, who wrapped his hand around him and took him along as well. While they were on their way, they met the other new recruit along with the two of them. A wild, no royal tsundere just appeared, thought Sekke. Well, it will be my first time seeing a real-life tsundere, thought Sekke. Asta, being Asta, just marched forward towards the silver-haired girl and moved his hand forward. Hello! I am Asta from Hage. Let's get along with each other. The girl narrowed her eyes as she looked at him and then moved her gaze towards his hand and smacked it away. Who gave you the permission to speak? With such low amount of mana, how dare you approach me, you lowly insect, said the silver-haired girl. Ah, it's the beginning phase that every tsundere goes through, abuse the idiot in beginning then fall for him at the next or at the end of the episode, thought Sekke as he gave a sagely nod, ignoring what his two fellow rookies were talking about. He then snapped out of his thoughts and saw Asta no-toeing in front of the girl. He looked at Magna, who had a slight frown on his face, and asked, What happened? Hey Sekke, did you that she is from the Clover Kingdom's royal family, said Asta as he continued to no-toe. And? Asked Sekke. Asta and the other stopped and looked at him, and immediately Asta realized something and stood up. Hey! How the hell did you call me an insect? Humph. I am a royal, and to me you are just an insect, said the silver-haired girl called Noelle. Asta and Magna continued to argue with her about how rank didn't matter and all, and her being insistent on that rank does matter. Sekke, who had lost interest in the argument, simply turned around and walked away. Now where the hell am I? Thought Sekke as he got lost in the Black Bull's base. Luck didn't show me this area. What are these strings for? Thought Sekke as he easily evaded the strings. Wait a minute, these strings must be made of Vanessa's magic. She might be able to help me find my new room, thought Sekke. Vanessa-san, called Sekke in a loud voice, and after a while a door further away opened and revealed the pink-haired beauty's face. Oh, the taller new recruit? What is it? Do you need something from me? Asked Vanessa with a smile on her face as she stepped out of her room wearing her signature underwear-only outfit along with the Black Bull robe. Sekke whi saw her like that, felt slightly awkward, and just focused on her face. I am a bit lost here. Luck didn't show me around this area, so I don't know where to go from here. Seeing these strings, I thought that it must be made out of your magic and thought that you can help me, said Sekke. He passed through the hallway without activating any traps, thought Vanessa as she noticed her still intact threads, and said, All right, where are you heading to? The empty room on second floor, said Sekke. Vanessa nodded and then led him to the room. All right, we are here. But why this room? It's just like you said, it's totally empty, asked Vanessa with curiosity. I asked Yami-san to give me this room and he agreed, said Sekke as he took out the cleaning tools from another room. My, getting such a big room for yourself, aren't you a lucky one, said Vanessa as she looked at Sekke. Sekke encased the mop with his bronze and said, well yeah. I am lucky, and then started cleaning the room. Vanessa just stood there and watched Sekke controlling 4 mops at the same time with his magic and was impressed by his control. You said you were a commoner, right? Asked Vanessa. Sekke turned around and asked, You were still here? Sorry, I didn't notice. Here, take a seat, said Sekke, and made a black from his magic for Vanessa to sit upon. Vanessa sat down and was slightly angry when she heard that she was totally ignored by him. I mean, a pretty girl and nothing but just her underwear is here. Be aware of it a bit if you were normal, thought Vanessa. Yeah, I am a commoner as far as I know, said Sekke, answering her question. Really? Your control and mana doesn't reflect that, said Vanessa. Well, you can say I am simply blessed. Plus hard-working. Both of them coupled with my handsomeness and coolness. I am a perfect package, said Sekke with his chest puffed up. But then he noticed something and looked down. Oh, Seeker, you are awake, said Sekke as Seeker peeked out of his pocket, still feeling a bit sleepy. Wow, what that? Asked Vanessa with slight surprise. Well, she is an anti-bird as you can see, but she also have the privilege nod being my familiar. You can say she is blessed as well, said Sekke as he caressed the bird, making her eyes close once again. Sleep a bit more, you look tired, said Sekke as he took her out of his pocket and made another block for her and placed her on top of it before covering her with a handkerchief. Vanessa chuckled seeing Sekke acting so carefully with the bird and asked a few more questions from the newcomer. Once Sekke was done cleaning the room, he stretched his hands and placed the cleaning items back at their places. Now I need to get some basic stuff in here, said Sekke. There is some extra furniture there in the girls' wing, you can take it, offered Vanessa, which Sekke accepted without any troubles. Once he was done setting up his room, in which Vanessa helped him to decorate it as well, both of them along with Seeker went to find Charmy to eat something. You were given an offer by Golden Dawn and you still chose the Black Bulls? Asked Vanessa with a surprised tone. Sekke just gave a dry laugh and told her that he had some personal issues with that squad and left it at that and went downstairs along with her. In the evening he had his promised spar with Luck, where once again Luck lost because this time Sekke had some knowledge on how he fought, though it was the same for Luck, which made the things even more challenging for both of them, though they do had to admit that the spar was fun. Later in the evening, after finishing the spar, Sekke and the other males of the Black Bulls were in the bath. Impossible, said Magna. How? Said Asta. A snake, said Yami. Sekke, who was now in the bath, was being sued by the other members of the Black Bulls. That size, it's in the same, no, even Yami-san, said Magna as he looked at Sekke. How the hell did you wear your pants with that? Asked Yami as he looked at the one Sekke's little brother. Normally, said Sekke as he covered his crotch with a towel. Damn, I won't lose to you, Sekke, yelled Asta. That's the spirit, Asta, don't give up. Size is not the only thing that matters, said Magna. Haha, look, Magna have a peanut in between his legs, said Luck, laughing out loud. Luck, yelled Magna as he started throwing fireballs at Luck, who dodged them with a smile on his face. So you brats, how was your first day at Black Bulls? Regretting joining this squad yet? Asked Yami as he sat comfortably in the bath. Nope, said both Asta and Sekke simultaneously as they copied Yami. It's my first step to become Wizard King and I am really loving it, said Asta. It's fun here, and I don't regret choosing this squad, said Sekke. ZZZ. Don't sleep if you are asking us something, yelled Sekke as he saw Yami's eyes off. Don't yell, you assholes, yelled Yami as he suddenly woke up and smashed the nearby wall with his mana-covered fist, blasting bit away, showing the outside scenery. Chapter 27, Talk with the Royal Tsundere. The next morning, Sekke, who was sleeping in his new room, suddenly got woken up by Seeker pecking his head. Ow, 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 I am up. I am up, said Sekke as he protected his head from the bird. Seeker, who had done her job, went back to her bed and stared at Sekke. Sekke just patted the bird and said, good job, and then left the room. Gotta do the deed before Yami goes on his dumping quest, thought Sekke as he rushed to the toilet. Once Sekke was refreshed and finished with his morning routine, he went back to his room, took his sword and Seeker, and went out of the HQ for his morning training. On his way back, Sekke felt some noises near him and decided to check. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a huge water ball crashed into him, making both him and Seeker wet. What the hell was that? You okay, Seeker? Asked Sekke as he took Seeker in his hands and checked her for any injuries. Seeker shook the water of her body and then gave a thumbs up, feathers up to Sekke indicating that she was fine. Sekke sighed and then looked at Sekke and said, "Well, I am glad that you are fine. Go and dry up, and let Sekke go and dry herself up under the sun." Sekke on the other hand went towards the source of noise as he guessed what probably the source of the noise was. Not just as he expected, after walking for a bit he came across a silver-haired Tsundere practicing her magic. Sekke being the fearless Dark Lord he was didn't hide and just stepped forward. "Good morning," said Sekke as he greeted the silver-haired girl. The girl yelped in surprise as she heard Sekke's voice and turned around to see who it was. "You, what are you doing here?" asked Noelle. "Well, that's now how you greet someone who wished you good morning, but it's not like everyone can have good manners like me. Anyways, I was just on my way back from training, when all of a sudden I got hit by a huge water ball and decided to check," said Sekke as he showed off his wet clothes. Noelle got nervous seeing that her misfired magic hit the boy in front of him and said, "Humph, it's not all of a sudden. I was aiming for you to begin with. You didn't even know I was here until I called you," said Sekke as he stared at the silver-haired noble. Noelle blushed as Sekke pointed out her mistake and just averted her eyes. "Anyway, what are you doing here?" "Looking at the tree and the target. I think that you are practicing your magic, though seeing how dry the tree is from being hit by water magic," said Sekke as he left at that and saw that the girl was trembling a bit. "Let's not like her more," thought Sekke as he said, "Anyway, show me your magic. I am interested in seeing how powerful it is." Noelle looked up at Sekke who was looking back at her and said, "Why would I show my magic to an insect like you?" "Language, lady. If you call yourself a royal then carry yourself like one too," said Sekke with a stern tone making the girl flinch. "How dare you dash," said Noelle, but Sekke released his magic power and glared at her making her stop. The noble turned around and pointed her hands towards the tree and gathered her magic making a huge water ball appear in front of her hands. That's some magic power she gathered in a single spell, but the control is just shitty, thought Sekke as he saw the ball totally missing the target. Seeing that her attack missed once again, she prepared herself to be mocked again and looked down. "If you are having trouble controlling that much magic, then lower the output to the point which you can control," said Sekke as he walked towards her. Surprised by what Sekke said, Noelle looked up and saw him coming towards her and said, "What do you mean by that? I mean, how dare you come closer to me like this? I am a royal, you know. And I am the Dark Lord, the one who is at the very top," said Sekke as he snorted and said, "Now do as I told you." "Why should I?" asked Noelle. "Because I said so, and I am currently your superior here," said Sekke. "When did you become my superior?" asked Noelle. "From the moment you showed me you cannot control your magic, while I can," said Sekke. Noelle opened her mouth once again to say something, but Sekke gave an annoyed sigh and said, "Listen here, if I am going out of my way to help you improve a bit, then just keep that mouth shut and accept it. Not everyone has the privilege of getting help from the Dark Lord." "Humph, I didn't ask for your help." "And what is this Dark Lord thing anyway?" said Noelle as she crossed her arms. "You don't need to know that right now. I will tell you when you get to my level. Anyway, see this," said Sekke as he raised his hand. Noelle was about to say something, but then she noticed some mana gathering in Sekke's hand. "Huh, what are you even going to accomplish with that meager amount of mana?" said Noelle as she pointed at the small amount of mana glowing on Sekke's hand. "Smack you," said Sekke as the mana bullet flew towards Noelle and flicked her forehead. "Ow! How dare you hit a royal like this?" said Sekke as he fired another magic bullet at her. "Ow! Why you?" said Noelle as she growled from anger. "Now try to do the same with your mana." "Slowly," said Sekke. Noelle glared at Sekke and raised her hand to attack him. Sekke, who saw the water ball forming in front of Noelle's hand, sighed and thought, "It's getting unstable." Sekke's sacred gear appeared on his hand as the whip shot forward from the black gauntlet and wrapped around Noelle's hand. "Wah dash," said Noelle as she saw her hand getting caught by something. Sekke started absorbing the excess mana from her spell and said, "Try to control this much. Aim at the target." Noelle looked at the smaller water ball in her hand and then at Sekke, who was just staring at her. "What does he want to do anyway?" thought Noelle as she pointed her hand towards the tree and fired once again. And as Sekke expected, it still misfired. Yup, just like I thought, a totally shitty control, thought Sekke, and then looked at Noelle, who was looking down. Since you are doing this without even using your grimoire, it would be pretty difficult to lower the power output, said Sekke as he started thinking. Why are you doing this anyway? Asked Noelle. No reason, I have nothing better to do anyway, the other are still sleeping and I am already done with my training. Although if you want a proper reason, you can say that you are a bit similar to my dad, said Sekke. Dad, not mom, thought Noelle as she felt a bit pissed hearing that she is similar to man. He too puts too much and ruins most of the things and never accepts that and try that again, a total pain in the butt, if I have to say so, said Sekke with a deadpan look on his face, making Noelle even more pissed at the insult. I am accustomed to taking care of that old man of mine, and seeing that you, who is somewhat acting stubbornly like him, makes me work on my own. In a way you can say I am just preventing you from annoying me, said Sekke, making Noelle look up at him with a confused look on her face. That doesn't make any sense, said Noelle. Doesn't matter, it made sense to me, said Sekke, making Noelle stare at him. Anyway, I am feeling a bit cold in these wet clothes. I better go and change, said Sekke as he pulled the line back from Noelle's hand and deactivated his sacred gear. You on the other hand try using that mana bullet I used to flick you earlier. I will come back after changing my clothes and will babysit you until breakfast is ready, said Sekke as he rushed back to the base. I don't need someone to babysit me. And don't come back, yelled Noelle with a blushing face. Chapter 28, Helping Noelle. Sekke, who was rushing back towards the base, saw Asta come out while yawning, but decided to let him be. I need to check if Sekke is dry or not. Can't have her catching cold, thought Sekke as he hurried back to his room. Soon he got in there and saw Sekke sitting near the window trying to dry up. He sighed and said, like hell you are going to dry up in the room. Go out and you bird brain, said Sekke as he picked out some dry clothes and a towel. Sekke looked at him and then flew towards him and landed on his lap. Sekke took the towel and wiped her carefully so as to not injure the bird. Once Sekke was all dried up, she flew around the room flapping her wings like crazy to get rid of the still stuck moisture. Do that outside, Sekke. I need to change, said Sekke as he opened the door for Sekke to go out. Sekke didn't took much time and got out of the room and let Sekke change his clothes in peace. What the hell is that Sundara doing, thought Sekke as he suddenly felt a large amount of mana gathering near the base. Well, she is a part of the protagonist's team, she would be fine, and continued changing his clothes. Once he was done, he went out towards the source of the mana disturbance and was soon joined by Sekke, who landed in his shoulder. Sekke, is it very dangerous out there? Sekke shook her head in denial, seeing which Sekke nodded and then peeked out of the window. Holy shit! If not for her shitty control, then she could have easily destroyed the base, no quarter of the base with her magic, said Sekke as he opens then window and jumped down. Soon he arrived near the other black bulls who were gathered there and said, Good morning. Good morning, said Vanessa. Haha, it's really a good morning. Let's fight, Sekke, said Luck. It really is a pleasant morning. I would really like to spend this day with my friends, mumbled Gordon, which no one was able to hear. Marie! Looks like she lost her control. What are you going to do, Yami-san? Asked Sekke. Don't know. If we use attack magic, there is a high chance that she will die. If only we had someone who can negate magic, said Yami casually as he took a smoke. Ah! Suddenly, as if his wish came true, Asta came flying towards him. Yami just moved his hand forward and caught Asta. Good timing, brat. I was just thinking about you, said Yami. Eh? About me? Asked Asta while pointing at himself. Yeah, you see that, said Yami as he pointed towards Noelle and the something made of water. Yes. Good, go and deal with it, said Yami. Alright, wait, how will I deal with that? I don't even know how to fly. Shut your trap, idiot, yelled Yami as he started releasing his magic. He then gripped Asta tightly and said, Just do something and break you limits, and threw him towards the royal. You do know that he will die if he couldn't do anything and get stuck in there as well, said Sekke. No problem, we have a graveyard nearby, said Yami as he took a smoke. He then looked at Sekke and asked, Can you deal with that? Well, it's not that difficult, replied Sekke. Then why didn't you say that earlier? Asked Yami. No one asked me, said Sekke. Sounds fair, said Yami as he closed his eyes. Should I save them from the fall? Nah, Finral, said Yami. Yes, I know, said Finral as he used his magic to make a portal below Asta and Noelle. Soon the other end of the portal appeared in front of them and Sekke took a step to the side. Asta and Noelle soon came out of there as Asta landed at the place where Sekke was standing earlier. You alright, Asta? Asked Sekke. I am fine, said Asta in his unusually loud tone and then went towards Noelle. And now he used the protagonist magic on her and make the thunder fall for him, and thus his future of getting physically and verbally abused for no logical reason at all is set. The end, thought Sekke as he nodded his head. Once everyone from the Black Bulls were done saying their piece of how she is one of them now and how she can believe in them, Sekke stepped forward and mana bulleted her once again, telling her to practice how he asked her to do, causing a slight argument amongst them. After all that was over, he asked Charmy to cook him something to eat, which she immediately agreed to with a huge smile on her face. In the evening, Sekke along with the other two rookies was there in the hall. So what are your plans for now? The others are busy doing their thing, asked Sekke. Noelle and Asta stared at him and then thought for a while. I have nothing in mind, said Asta. I know that your head is empty, no need to tell that, said Sekke. Ah, okay. Wait, you just insulted me, yelled Asta as he stood up and pointed his finger at him. I have no idea as well, I still don't have much mana after what happened today, said Noelle. About that, how did it suddenly get that out of control? Asked Sekke. Hearing his question, Noelle looked down as she remembered the thoughts that she had at that time. Seeing her like that, Sekke patted her shoulder and said, no need to tell if you don't want to. The thing that is important is that we need to make her learn how to control, otherwise it will create problems during missions. And how will we do that? Asked Asta. We will use that thick, long and black thing of yours to help her, said Asta as he looked at Asta. Noelle blushed as she heard what Sekke said and was about to yell at him. Oh! Don't worry, I will use that to help her. You can count on me, said Asta as he smacked his chest lightly. Asta then patted Noelle's shoulder and said, let's do our best, Noelle, me and my sword will take care of you. Noelle got red from head to toe as she heard what Asta said. Sekke just looked away and covered his mouth to not laugh out loud. Why you? Bacasta, yelled Noelle as she smacked Asta's head. Chapter 29, First Mission. A few days passed by since Sekke joined the Black Bulls and was living his life without any troubles. Good food prepared by Charmy, a big room all for himself, good sparring partners and no one nagging him for what he does. A life he could call a total bliss for himself. But this cannot go on, thought Sekke as he stood up from his bed and said, to gain recognition the Dark Lord needs to spread his name, and the way to do it is undertaking missions. He then took his robe from the chair and then rushed outside the room, followed by Seeker. Yami-san. Don't yell, said Yami as he looked at Sekke. Sekke looked around and saw that only him and Yami were there. Yami-san, do you have a mission I can go on? Huh, mission, oi, Gauche. Soon Gauche with a picture in his hand appeared and said, what happened? Is today the day I can go and see my angel Marie? No, I need you to go on a mission. Take the brat along with you, said Yami as he pointed at Sekke. Huh? A mission? What kind of? Just the usual, bandit crushing, though you will be joined by some other squad, said Yami. Troublesome. I would rather adore my Marie's photo, said Gauche as he looked at the photo. I wasn't asking, said Yami as he gripped Gauche's head. Alright, I accept it, oi, you don't drag me down, the sooner we finish the sooner I can look at Marie's photo, said Gauche as he looked at Sekke. Well, a troublesome one to deal with, but still it's fine, thought Sekke as he gave him a thumbs up and said, alright, do guide me though. After that Yami gave them the mission details and both him and Gauche went to prepare to set out. After half an hour both of them came out and met Luck and Magna outside the base. Hey, Sekke, come on, let's fight, said Luck with a smile on his face. Sorry Luck, I just got a mission, said Sekke. Magna smirked at that and said, your first mission, eh? Do well and don't drag our name down, said Magna while cleaning his specialized broom. Seeing that broom, Sekke smirked and used his magic. Bronze creation magic, Bronze Rider. A bike soon formed in front of Sekke, seeing which Magna had its eyes widen from shock. He admired the design of the bike and gave Sekke a thumbs up and said, "It's awesome." "Oi! What are doing?" said Gauche as he looked at Sekke talking with the two of them. "Gauche-san, come with me, it will be faster than using a broom," said Sekke, which was enough for Gauche to accept Sekke's offer. If it saves time, it would be added to his merry time. Sekke sat in front, followed by Gauche, who sat in the side cart made by Sekke, and finally it was Seeker who sat in his pocket. "Take care of the photo, Gauche-san, it might get blown away if you held it lightly," said Sekke, making Gauche frown as he kept the photo in his pocket. Sekke then passed his magic to the bike, which immediately shot forward at an amazing speed. "How is it, Gauche-san?" "You are fine, right?" asked Sekke. "Slow down, you bastard," yelled Gauche as eyes and mouth were opened from the wind crashing into his face. Sekke laughed at that as he slowed down and thought, "I really like scaring the first-timers like that. I will try this on Yami-san." After that he rode at comparatively normal saws, enough for Gauche to handle himself. "Gauche-san, you are losing too much blood from your nose, you know," said Sekke as he looked at him. "It's fine, look in the front," said Gauche as he continued staring at the photo. Feeling awkward, Sekke thought of conversing with Seeker, but found her sleeping peacefully in his pocket. "So what kind of girl is your sister, Gauche-san?" asked Sekke. "I will kill you if you are having thoughts about my sister," said Gauche as he released a hive amount of bloodlust at Sekke. "Don't worry, I am not interested in young girls. Just thought of asking how your sister is since you keep talking about her all the time," said Sekke without even flinching. Gauche stared at him for a while and then told him about how wonderful his sister was. After listening to the praises that Gauche sung for his sister, Sekke nodded and said, "Seems like a good girl to me. However, Gauche-san, just an advice from me. It's fine if you dote on her right now, since she is still young. Do give her some personal space and control your emotions a bit if you don't want to be hated by her." Gauche widened his eyes in shock as he imagined himself getting hated by Marie and immediately turned pale and started mumbling something. "There is no way an angel like Marie can hate someone," said Gauche. Sekke shook his head and said, "Trust me, I am saying from experience, little siblings are like that." It was hell dealing with my Nissan and convince him to show some moderation, thought Sekke as he remembered how hard it was for him to calm down his Nii-san who would talk to him on his birthday every year. "Ugh dash," said Gauche as he made a pained expression. "By the way, up to what level can we damage the bandits?" asked Sekke. "Just kill them, it's fast and efficient," said Gauche. "And what is usually requested of us to do?" "Kill only when necessary, otherwise just hand them over to the prison," said Gauche. "What about bounty?" asked Sekke. "Depends, if they have it on their head, but you will need to show some proof of that," said Gauche as he stared at his sister's photo. "If there is going to be one with bounty, I will take care of it," said Sekke. "As long as you finish it quick, I don't have any problems," said Gauche with blood dripping from his nose. Soon they reached the town where the mission was supposed to take place and waited for the people from other squad to join them. "Where the hell are they?" yelled Gauche in anger. The other magic knights had still not arrived, which was making Gauche very angry at them. Well, it cannot be helped since Sekke was much faster than those brooms, but he just kept that fact up to himself. "It's alright, Gauche-san, just think of it as you getting extra time to stare at the photo," said Sekke, making Gauche look at the photo of his sister. Soon both of them saw two people on brooms heading in their direction, and once they recognized them as magic knights, both of them sighed. The other magic knights landed near them and then started walking towards them. "So we will be working along with the Crimson Lions," thought Sekke. Soon the two of them came near then, and the man with brown hair said, "Looks like you two arrived pretty early. Anyways, I am Reuben Chagar." "Gauche Adlai," said Gauche without even looking at them, making Reuben frown at him. "Sorry about him, he is just a bit upset since we had to wait for a long time. Anyways, I am Sekke Bronzazza," said Sekke with a smile and moved his hand forward. Reuben nodded and was about to shake his hand, but the person beside him held Sekke's hand first, surprising both of them. Sekke looked at the black-haired girl who was beside Reuben and thought, what was that? Anna Flare. "Let's get along," said the girl in an emotionless tone and shook Sekke's hand. Chapter 30, Cliché Quest. Getting out his trance, Sekke pulled his hand back from the girl and nodded his head. What happened? Don't tell me she fell for my handsome looks, thought Sekke as he looked at the girl. Don't mind her, she is just a rookie and is kinda unique, said Ruben. It's alright. So shall we start the mission? Asked Sekke. Ruben nodded hearing that and thought, it's the first time that I met someone from the Bulls who is not weird and easy to talk with. Ghosh-san, stop bleeding, we're going to start, said Sekke, making Ghosh look up from the picture. A pity that he is in that weird squad, thought Ruben. Alright, from what we have been told by the captains we can say that there must be a group of bandits in the forest close to the town. What we don't know is where and how many of them will be present, said Ruben. Before we start, is anyone here a support type or all of us are attackers? Asked Sekke. Hearing that, the two Crimson Lions Knights just stared at him, which was enough to answer his question. Alright then, that means that we don't need to worry that much about someone on the team. Now what matters is how we approach the forest, said Sekke. Let's split up in twos and dash. Ruben was saying something, but suddenly the girl beside him raised her hand and said, I would like to go with Sekke-kun. Both Ruben and Sekke stared at her with and thought at the same time, she is acting so obvious. Sekke gave a wry smile and said, as much as I would like to team up with you, I don't think it would be a good idea since we don't know how we fight, so it might cause problems. I am just a rookie like you, so I don't have much experience working with him. Our magic attributes clash with each other anyways, said Anna as she pointed at Ruben, making him twitch his lips. She is acting more like a member of Black Bulls than him, thought Ruben. He then looked at Sekke and asked, as much as I would like to deny her claim, it is true that my sandstone magic and her fire magic are not the most compatible when fighting together, that too in a forest. So, you are asking two rookies to pair up, and that too on my first mission? Asked Sekke with a dumbfounded expression on his face. It's my first time as well, said the girl in her monotone voice. Don't phrase it like that, thought Sekke, but was suddenly grabbed by Ghosh, who glared at him and said, just team up with her and start this mission. You are wasting my precious time. Hey! Support your fellow squad member, you damn siscon, mentally yelled Sekke as Ghosh rushed through the whole planning phase. In the end, Sekke got paired up with the Anna girl, and both of them first decided to check the town for any clues while also asking around about the bandits from the people. They look like they have not eaten or slept for days, thought Sekke as looked at the people of the town and said, we need to take care of those bandits soon. The girl who was beside him nodded her head and said, yes, I agree with that, it is looking very bad for them. Sekke looked at her and thought, she certainly is strange, first she was acting like that and now all of a sudden she turned serious. Taking a look at her, she is better looking than Noelle, who is a royal, and those are big too. The girl noticed Sekke look at her and said, don't worry, I will protect you. Did she just say that she will protect me? Thought Sekke. Listen her Anna, your duty is to protect them, not me, and always keep in mind that the Dark Lord Sekke doesn't need protection, unless the situation is totally *kid up, said Sekke as he pointed his finger at her. Alright, I will protect Sekke-kun if the situation becomes too difficult to be handled, said the girl in her monotone voice. I will make sure that such a situation doesn't arise, and I will probably save you if that were to happen, said Sekke and looked forward. I don't want others to think that someone got injured because they were saving the great me. It will really tarnish my reputation as a Dark Lord, thought Sekke. Meanwhile, the girl who heard Sekke would save her if she gets in trouble didn't have any expression on her face, but her heart was pounding very fast after she heard that. While walking and asking around, Sekke suddenly felt someone pull his clothes and turned around to see two children, a boy and a girl, looking at him. Hello, is there something you need? Asked Sekke. Big brother, if we can tell you where the bandits are hiding, will you bring our mom back? Asked the boy. A cliché quest just got triggered, thought Sekke as he crouched down and asked, do you really know where they are hiding? The children nodded their heads and started telling him about the way they should go, but considering they were children, the directions that they gave were too high level for Sekke to understand. You know what, you two are coming with me, said Sekke as his grimoire started flipping. Bronze creation magic, Bronze rider plus sidecar. His bike along with the sidecar appeared in front of them as the children looked at it with awe, making Sekke puff his chest in pride. Heh, Bask in the Dark Lord's majesty, said Sekke as he picked up the kids and placed them in the sidecart. He then took his seat and turned around to call Anna, who was standing beside him. Get on the back, said Sekke as the black-haired girl nodded and sat behind Sekke. What the? I never knew that riding a bike with a girl comes with this softness, thought Sekke as felt two big and soft sensations on his back. He slowly turned around and with a smile on his face said, you should hold on tightly so that you don't fall and get injured. The girl didn't need it to be asked a second time as she wrapped her arms around him and held him a bit tighter than before. Is this fine? Asked Anna, to which Sekke just gave a thumbs up and said, perfect, and then channeled his mana through the bike. I will make sure to go over every bump that will come on the way, thought Sekke as he told the children to tell him the way. Chapter 31, Starting the Fight. The road sure is very uneven for the bandits to travel across it, said Anna as they yet again passed over a bump. Yeah, said Sekke as he looked forward to look for the bumps. Seeker, who was sleeping inside the pocket, woke up because of the disturbance and peeked out of the pocket. Oh, Seeker, you woke up, huh? Said Sekke as he felt some movements in his shirt. Seeker looked at Sekke, who was riding the bike and the hands wrapped around his chest. Is he with someone? Thought Seeker as she jumped out of the pocket and saw the kids in the sidecart who were looking at her with curiosity. She looked at the kids for a while before she hopped onto Sekke's shoulder and saw the expressionless Anna, who was clinging to Sekke's back. She then looked down towards the huge mounds pressing against Sekke's back and turned her head towards Sekke and noticed a small smile on his face. Feeling slightly upset at him, Seeker prepared herself to peck his head. Seeker, if you are thinking about pecking, do that later. I am not driving alone this time, you know. They might be injured if I lost control, said Sekke as he felt Seeker's intent to peck him. This was the instinct that he developed by living with her for so long. Seeker stopped herself as she heard what Sekke said and thought, he is right, and then jumped down on the bike and took her spot. What is that anti-bird? Asked Anna, since she noticed that Seeker responded to what Sekke asked of her. She is my familiar, her name's Seeker. She is very smart and takes care of me too, said Sekke as he glanced at Seeker, who was sitting in front of him. Seeker turned her head to look at Sekke and raised her wing in response to what Sekke said. Big brother, we are getting close, said the boy, hearing which Sekke stopped the bike and said, we will be going on foot from here on. Anna and the children got off the bike, after which Sekke deactivated his magic. Seeker, go ahead and check out for the enemies, we will be hiding here, said Sekke. Seeker nodded and flew away to check whether the location was fine or not. Anna, take off your squad robe, it is standing out here in the forest, said Sekke. Anna did as Sekke asked him to as he led the kids and the girl towards the bush to hide. Alright, listen here, you kids will have to be near us all the time, since there is no way of sending you back right now. Don't worry, I am super strong, so I promise you too that you will not be harmed, said Sekke as he patted the kids' heads. The kids nodded in response, though they were still quite scared of the idea of going near the bandits. Sekke nodded and then looked at Anna and asked, how strong is your magic, Anna, and what type and range you are comfortable to fight against? I cannot explain how strong my magic is since I don't know about the bandit's strength. About range and type, except for close combat opponents, I will be able to fight at any position, said Anna. Alright. You will be the rear guard, I will be in the front, make sure to not include me in your attacks, said Sekke. Anna nodded and then both of them waited for Seeker to return. After a while, Sekke saw Seeker coming back and just kept hiding. Being an anti-bird, Seeker was very conscious box mana and could easily tell where Sekke was and headed towards the bushes. Once she got in, Sekke asked what all she could answer in the gestures and said, well, they are indeed here, but there are too many of them, you will be fine, right? Anna, who heard Sekke question, nodded her head, seeing which Cells nodded and took out a small piece of paper and wrote something on it. Here, Seeker, find Ghosh-san and give it to him, said Sekke as he rolled the paper and tied it to Seeker's leg. Seeker took off in the air and thought, really, whatever would you do without me, and then started looking out for Ghosh. Once Seeker was gone, Sekke and Anna along with the children came out of the bushes and Sekke said, let's get going, but before that, hamster balls. 2 round transparent blue shells appeared around the kids, seeing which the kids looked at it with surprise. You will be a bit safer in there, now follow what we ask of you, okay? Okay, big brother, said the kids with determination, seeing which Sekke smiled. Anna, who saw that, looked at Sekke and thought, he hasn't changed, and her lips curved up a bit. Sekke then picked up the big hamster balls in his hands like they were nothing and looked at Anna. "Let's go," and started running, seeing which Anna started following him as well. Sekke, who was in the front, made sure to not run too fast for the girl to be left behind, and soon he noticed a few structures built further ahead. He raised his hand to stop Anna and then gestured her to look towards the structures, seeing which she turned serious. "All right, seems like we came at their base," said Sekke. "How should we approach them?" "Reveal that we are magic knights and ask them to surrender and then proceed to fight," said Anna. "It has bad idea written all over it," said Sekke. "Then what, attack from the get-go?" asked Anna, but in return Sekke just gave a smirk, seeing which Anna nodded her head as well. Sekke put the hamster balls down as both him and Anna stood side by side. Their grimoires started floating and flipping pages, and Sekke said, "Looks like the bandits are in for a bad time." Sekke looked back at the kids and said, "Follow us, but stop once we stop as well and stray beside Anna." The kids nodded, seeing which both Sekke and Anna looked in front and started running, seeing which the kids ran behind them as well. Bronze creation magic, weapon make Gaster Blaster. Sekke used his magic even before they jumped out of the bushes, not willing to give the bandits the chance to know what happened all of a sudden. Chapter 32, First mission completed. An animal skull made out of bronze just appeared out of nowhere, shocking the bandits. But before they could do anything, the skull's mouth opened and a beam was fired at them, sending most of them flying away, crashing into rocks and trees. It's a beautiful day outside. Birds are singing, flowers are blooming. On days like these, bandits like you should be dash. Fire magic, incinerate orb. A huge orb made of fire shot forward towards the bandits and exploded, engulfing the bandits that were unfortunate to get caught in the blast to be burnt to crisp. "Burning in hell," completed Sekke, and then thought, she took me quite literally. What the dash? What just happened? We are under attack. Magic Knights? Run! Wait! There are only 2 of them. Huh, just 2, it's alright guys. We can deal with them. Hey, there's a hit chick amongst them too. And a good-looking boy, boss will love that ass. Sekke, who heard what the bandit said, took out his other grimoire as well and thought, alright, they are done for. Anna, no mercy, said Sekke as both his grimoires started flipping pages. Don't worry, I am not in the mood for that anyway, said Anna in a slightly angry tone. Bronze creation magic, 100 swords. Lighting debuff magic, paralysis touch. Dark debuff magic, dark touch. Ice debuff magic, frost touch. Fire debuff magic, blaze touch. Sekke used various magic in succession as hindered swords made of his bronze magic appeared in the air. Once they appeared, all the swords started changing colors as 25 swords turned to different elements that cells used. Now I will show you what messing with the Dark Lord results to, said Sekke as he raised his hand, making all the swords that were behind him point towards the bandits. Anna, how many do you think their numbers must be? Around 50 or so, said Anna. 2 swords for each of them then, said Sekke. Seeing the swords aimed at them, the bandits gulped their saliva and looked at Sekke with fear. Any last words? Asked Sekke. One of the bandits rose his hand and said, Can I go to the bathroom? I don't know. Can you? Said Sekke as 2 swords shot forward towards the man and impaled into his stomach. Ah! Huh! Hey, it doesn't hurt dash, said the bandit, but while speaking his body suddenly got covered in a thin layer of ice and he stopped moving. Since none of you have any more last words, let's get this over with, said Sekke as all the swords shot forward towards the bandits. The bandits, who now realized that they were in danger, started running and dodging the attacks, but despite that most of them were not able to prevent the sword from hitting them, which either paralyzed or frosted them in an instant. Ugh, attack together, said some of the bandits and started using their magic as various wind blades, roots, water and fireballs were fired towards Sekke. I won't let you touch him, said Anna. Fire magic, raging flare. A large amount of mana gathered in front of Anna as a wave of fire generated from that spot and moved forward, intercepting the incoming attacks. She is good, but the Dark Lord is better, thought Sekke as he unsheathed ecstase from his waist and jumped back and took Anna in his grasp as well. Use that spell again when I give the signal, said Sekke as he dodged an incoming earth spike which was slashed in half by Sekke. Anna nodded as she heard what Sekke said and stated preparing her spell. Sekke dropped her on the ground and then immediately rushed forward with Ecstase in his hand and some of his debuffed swords flying behind him. Seeing Sekke and the swords coming towards them, the bandits started firing their spells at Sekke, who just used his bronze swords to intercept the attacks. Ecstase-chan, be a little less sharp. I don't want to cause a scene in front of the kids, thought Sekke as the Ecstase edge became a bit duller compared to before, though it was still able to slash through the bandits with relative ease. Now who was the one who said that he will foo *K me, there he is, he don't deserve his dick, thought Sekke as he rushed towards the said man and without taking any time slashed him twice, once at his chest and once at his back. Blood gushed out of the said man as he fell down on the floor. Circle sword, said Sekke as all his swords returned back and started revolving around him. Surrounded by so many swords, the bandits looked troubled as they could hardly dodge the swords. Anna now, said Sekke as he made sure that the remaining ones were in a straight line. Anna nodded as she used her magic once again. Fire magic, raging flare. The waves of flame once again shot forward as Sekke's swords dispersed and gathered every bandit in the wave's attack range and just jumped off to the side. He then watched the bandits burn and scream in flames and then said, "Stop it, Anna, if their face gets unrecognizable we won't get the bounty." Anna nodded as the fire instantly disappeared. Her control is good too, who the heck is she, thought Sekke as he captured the injured bandits in a huge hamster ball. Well, that was easy, said Sekke as he looked at the bandits. They were really weak, said Anna as she came towards Sekke. Well, it can't be helped, they were up against Beef Dark Lord. But it was boring, said Sekke as he looked at the kids and said, "Get the kids, I will look out for the money and people that must be taken away by them," said Sekke as he walked around the area and searched for money and people. After some time, Ghosh and Reuben arrived as well, and Reuben was surprised to see that Sekke and Anna already took care of the bandits, though they still scolded them since their method was very crude, which was just ignored by the two rookies. They gathered all the people and money that was there at the bandit base and led them back to their town. Sekke decided to let the seniors do the boring job of taking the bandits to the prison while he and Anna were left back to keep a lookout if any more bandits are left and are looking to cause any more trouble. During their stay, a lot of people came by to thank the two of them, which coupled with how the kids were explaining the fight to the people made for a very happy mood around the town. Sekke along with Seeker were sitting on a block made of bronze while Anna was standing beside them leaning against the wall. Where the hell are they? Thought Sekke as he waited for Ghosh to come back. You sure, Anna, you don't want to take a seat? Yes, I am fine like this, said Anna. Where are you from, Sekke-kun? Keaton. You? Rook, huh? What happened? Well, I have been to that town before, when I was a kid. I slayed a mana beast nearby, so I needed to sell that. A mana beast at that age? Well, a Dark Lord is born strong, you know, said Sekke as he laughed. And? Asked Anna. And what? Asked Sekke back. What else did you do that in the town? Asked Anna as she stared intently at him. Well, I got a lot of mana beast meat from the people who bought it. Met a couple of royals there, and, yeah, that's it, said Sekke. Anna stared at Sekke for a while before she averted her eyes from him. Sekke noticed that Bit just shrugged his shoulders and took out Ecstase to clean it, since there was still no signs of Ghosh. I helped a couple of kids there as well, now that I think about it, said Sekke as he glanced at his sword which had the magic stone embedded in it. Hearing that, Anna perked up and looked at him. Really? People don't help others in that town. Don't compare the great me to others, though I just did that on a whim too anyways, said Sekke. What kind of help was it? There was a kid who was following me in that town. I called the kid, asked the problem AD, found that he was looking for food for other small kids. So I decided to share some of the excess mana beast meat with them. Though it wasn't for free, I took one thing that the kid had in its possession, said Sekke, and then thought, and that is my most profitable exchange yet. Anna, who heard what Sekke said, was looking at him with her eyes widened and a small smile on her lips. She was about to say something, but Sekke interrupted her. Well, if the kid took my advice, he must have become a fine man by now. Maybe I should go and look for him? Not like he will remember me, said Sekke as he chuckled. Anna stopped herself from speaking and thought, he thought I was a boy, back then. Sekke on the other hand just laughed and cleaned his sword and waited for Ghosh to arrive so that he can go back. Chapter 33, Gathering in the Room. A few days passed by since Sekke completed his first mission, which resulted in him getting annoyed by the no magic twerp for 3 whole days since he went on a mission without telling him and got a lead. In response for annoying the Dark Lord, Sekke took a few more missions without telling them and in total had completed 5 whole missions, out of which 3 were solo ones. Well, not technically, but Finarel just acted as his transport. And currently, after a few weeks passed like that, Sekke was watching Asta feeding the Yami's pet mana beasts. "Is it really safe?" asked Noelle, who was standing beside him. "Does it look like that to you?" asked Sekke. "Nope." "Shouldn't you help him? Let him break his limits, or bones," said Sekke as he looked at Asta getting chewed by the beast. "How is your training getting along, Noelle?" asked Sekke as he looked at the royal. "I am doing good, and it was great that no one was there to nag me every time," said Noelle sarcastically. "Want me to stop helping you altogether?" asked Sekke as he looked intently at Noelle. "Humph, you cannot. I am royalty, so you need to follow my dash." "You really want to try me, Noelle?" asked Sekke with a smile. Noelle blushed from embarrassment as she tried to say something, but suddenly Sekke pulled him towards himself. "What dash?" "Asta." "Take something longer to feed them, you idiot," yelled Sekke as he saw Asta, who was thrown away by the beast. "You alright, Noelle?" "Humph. Whisper thanks," said Noelle as she looked from Sekke and looked at Asta. "You are welcome," said Sekke, whose senses were better because of his hunting practices in the past. Noelle snorted and then went to look after Asta. Seeker, who was in his pocket, came out and sat on his shoulder. "I am so glad that you are not at Sundara, Seeker," said Sekke as he scratched the bird's belly. Seeker just tilted her head as she didn't understand what the word that Sekke used meant and just shrugged it off. Sekke was about to go out of the room but stopped as his eyes widened in surprise. He moved his hand in front of Seeker's eyes and said, "Don't look, Seeker, and forget whatever you saw." "Kaya!" screamed Noelle as she turned around with a blush on her cheeks. "Captain Yami! Magna Senpai! Why are you two like that?" yelled Asta as he saw Magna and Yami standing in front of him without any clothes. "I am going to give you your first magic night mission, you brats," said Yami without caring about what Asta said. "Hell yeah! I finally get to do some magic night stuff," yelled Asta. "So, in short, you two lost badly. Know that word don't do justice to your purse. Anyway, you two lost in gambling against a mayor of a village and promised him to do a task for him to pay off your debt," said Sekke. "Ha ha ha, are you a smart one?" "Absolutely right," said Yami as he stood proudly without any clothes. "Noelle, whatever happens, don't open your eyes," whispered Sekke as he covered her eyes as well. "I don't need you tell me that," said Noelle. "Oh, Asta is stripping down too." Yelled Noelle as her eyes shot open, only to see Asta still in his clothes. "I don't need you to tell me that, huh?" said Sekke as he imitated the silver-haired Sundara, who just blushed on response and looked away. "Anyway, Magna explained the mission to them. I need to break some limits," said Yami. "The number of times you go, I think that the thing breaking first would be the toilet," said Sekke as he looked at Yami, who just yawned in response. "Haha, we got our first mission as well." "Just you wait, I will catch up to you in no time," said Asta. "Dream on, Asta. Unlike me, the mission you are doing is a non-paying one," said Sekke as he smirked at the twerp. "Can you tell me again why all of us are here?" asked Noelle. "Well, you guys are going to have your first mission tomorrow, so I thought that you both could get some stress off before that, and so here we are, playing snakes and ladders," said Sekke as he threw the die. "Humph, I am royalty. I won't get stressed from something like this," said Noelle. "It's fine, just think of me wanting to help my friends, also pass some time." "Ah, Asta got bit by a snake," said Sekke. "Arg! I won't give up. I will climb all the ladders that come in my path and become the winner." "Also thanks, Sekke," said Asta. "No need, Asta, no need," said Sekke as he gave the die to Noelle. "Sekke, want to eat some nummies with me?" said Charmy as she barged into the room. Hey, let's go fight," said Luck, who came in as well. "Oi! Have you seen Asta and Noelle Jew? Asked Magna. Want to spend some time like friends usually do, muttered Gordon. Oi! Tell me more things that will make me looks good in front of my angel Marie. Hey, what are you three doing? Asked a drunk Vanessa. Huh? This wasn't the toilet, said Yami as he came in while scratching his head. Sekke looked at the members of the Black Bull who just barged into his room. Well, having a big room was going to result into this at some point anyway, thought Sekke. Wanna join us? Asked Sekke. The other members of the Black Bulls came closer to the three of them and saw a board-like thing made of Sekke's magic, which is small figurines of the three of them on top of the board. What is it? Some kind of spell? Asked Magna. Nah, it's a board game called Snakes and Ladders. Wanna try it? Asked Sekke. Huh? A new game, alright, let's bet and the winner takes all, declared Yami with a smirk on his face. You just lost everything today, yelled the three rookies as they were just ignored by their captain who already started placing bets. Well, whatever, you will drown in despair and debt after losing against the Dark Lord anyways, said Sekke as he placed a coin as his bet. That day all the Black Bulls stayed up quite late playing the new game that Sekke introduced, and needless to say Magna and Yami were buck naked once again. Even Vanessa is wearing more clothes than the two of them, thought Sekke as he collected his earnings earned from the bets. Chapter 34, Training with Yami. The next morning in front of the Black Bulls base, the rookies along with Magna were talking to each other. How come you both don't know how to fly on a broom? That's the basic of the basics, exclaimed Magna. I don't have any magic, said Asta. Humph, did you forget? I am not able to control my mana, said Noelle in a proud tone. Don't be proud about that, yelled Magna as he looked at the two irregulars. Fine then, let's do this, said Magna as he went towards the storehouse and took out his self-customized broom. Hee, we will go on my crazy cyclone, said Magna as he looked smug about his broom. Sekke's bike was cooler than this, said Asta as he looked at the broom. Sekke fist pumped at that as he looked at Magna with a mocking expression on his face. TCH, I can't even deny that, muttered Magna as he clicked his tongue. Anyway, you really aren't coming with us, Sekke? Asked Asta as he looked at his fellow rookie. Sorry, Asta. I have gone on quite a number of missions recently, so I want some time to relax and focus a bit on myself. Anyways, best of luck on your first mission to both of you, said Sekke as he looked at Asta and Noelle. Ha! Alright then, this mission will be over in no time and soon I will become the Wizard King. Humph, I am royalty, you know. I don't need your encouragement to complete my first mission. Do try to be useful though, and don't mess up, especially you Noelle, said Sekke as he looked at his fellow rookies with a grin. Both Noelle and Asta snapped at him as Sekke just carefully put his hands at the back of his head. Alright you two, stop wasting time, said Magna as he sat on his broom. Go with them and come back to inform me if they are in trouble, said Sekke as he glanced at Seeker. Seeker, who understood what Sekke meant, jumped of his shoulder and flew towards Asta's head. Huh? Seeker? Looks like she wants to go on the mission as well. She won't trouble you, so be nice to her, said Sekke as he looked at the three of them. No problems, if Seeker likes to go on the mission as well then let's go, exclaimed Asta as Magna took off. Once they got out of sight, Sekke stretched his hands and said, Well, Seeker is gone, looks like it's just you and me now, Extastion, said Sekke as he looked at the sword on his waist. I haven't used it that much for a while, let's go and do the dash. Yon it's already morning? Sekke turned around as he heard the voice behind him. Good morning, Yami-san. Ah, so you were up as well, huh, brat? Yes, just sent of Asta and the others on their mission. Oh, they are already gone, huh? Yes, well, see you later, Captain. I going to have some fun with my Extastion, said Sekke as he moved towards the base to get some stuff from his room. Who the hell is that? Asked Yami. My sword, replied Sekke without turning back. Your sword, huh, brat, come with me for a bit, said Yami as he turned around and started walking towards the forest. Sekke looked at his captain for a while before he started following him as well. Where are we going, Yami-san? Don't know, somewhere open, I guess, said Yami without caring much. You should go to a covered area though, if you want to take a dump, said Sekke. Huh? Who said that I want to take a dump, said Yami. Now that's some breaking news, said Sekke. Alright, it should be fine here, said Yami as he stopped walking. Sekke stopped as well and looked around only to find himself standing in an area of broken trees and charred ground and wood. Looks like Magna and Luck had a fight here, said Sekke. Hey brat, take out that sword of yours, said Yami as he took out his katana as well. Huh, Yami-san, if you are thinking about having a sword fight, I will ask you to stop here. Ixtace-chan will cut your sword in half in no time. Heh, like hell you will have a sword that shot dash, said Yami as Sekke just took out his sword and let it drop vertically downward, making the sword pierce through the ground with no effort at all. Oi, brat! What the hell is that sword? Exclaimed Yami as he saw the sword effortlessly get inside the ground. He then looked at his sword and did the same as Sekke. Clang clang. Yami looked at his sword which was lying down on the ground. Oi, katana. Break your limits, said Yami as he took the sword once again and repeated the process once again. Clang clang. Yami-san, don't bully the poor katana, said Sekke as he took Ixtace out of the ground. Whatever, it will break its limits soon anyway. Now, then brat, if that sword is too sharp, make one out of your magic, said Yami. Sekke nodded and made a bronze sword. Good, now come at me, said Yami as he looked at Sekke with an uninterested look. Without questioning, Sekke gripped his sword tightly and took his stance. The ground below Sekke cracked as he rushed towards Yami. Sekke was looking at Yami without any hesitation and slashed towards the black-haired man. Yami easily parried the attack and took his stance to attack the rookie. Above, thought Sekke as he looked at Yami and positioned his sword to block the incoming attack. Sekke immediately frowned as he saw the katana coming towards him from high right and moved his hand to block the strike. Clink! The two swords clashed for just an instant before Sekke's posture was broken by Yami. Sekke immediately took distance from the captain who just stood at his spot and scratched his head. Come again, said Yami as still looked at Sekke with an uninterested expression on his face. Sekke narrowed his eyes as he looked at Yami who was looking back at him. Sekke immediately rushed towards Yami and started attacking him rapidly. Yami parried and blocked every blow coming towards him, though Sekke didn't stop and continued his assault on his captain who's slowly getting pushed back by Sekke. His strength and agility is good, thought Yami as he dodged the incoming slash and said, You rely too much on your instincts, said Yami as he slashed towards the blonde boy. Sekke, who was once again not able to predict the slash, was only able to block it at the final moment and had to retreat once again. Why the hell is that happening? Thought Sekke, a bit frustrated seeing how Yami was not even breathing roughly from all that. He himself was also not breathing heavily, but he was still annoyed at the man. Kid, you rely too much on your instincts. You are just swinging that sword without any stance, right? Yes, said Sekke. If that is the case, you will not be able to damage me. I know someone who is even better than you when it comes to fighting with just instincts, said Yami as he rested his katana on his shoulder. Can't be helped, you know. It's the only type of swordsmanship that I know of, said Sekke as he thought of his days of hunting in the forest with Ixtace in his hand and his whole body covered in wounds and scratches. Huh, who said it can't be helped? Break you limits. Come at me until you are able to land a slash on me. Hone your instincts even better and match the stance if you need to, do whatever you want, but keep in mind that you need to break your limits, said Yami as he lighted up a cigarette and took a smoke. Come on then, break time over, said Yami as he provokingly gestured Sekke to come towards him. Chapter 35, Ointment. The next day after Sekke had a training spar with Yami and got his ass kicked by the captain, was in a very bad mood, bad enough for not even Luck was asking him to fight him. Hey, do you think he is alright? Asked Vanessa. I don't know, Law, shall I give him something delicious to eat? Said Charmy as she ate some cake. My friend is in a really bad mood and it really pains me to see that I cannot do anything to help him, muttered Gordon. Should I as a senpai take him and hook him up on a date with some girls? Asked Finral. Maybe looking at my Angel Marie's photo will cheer him up, but I won't give it to him, said Gauche. Oi, Finral! There is no toilet paper in here, said Yami during the process of breaking his limits. Just drown in that shit then, yelled Sekke as he looked at the toilet door with an annoyed look on his face. He then stood up from his spot and said, "I will be going out for a while," and walked out of the base. "Phew, that took long," said Yami as he came out of the toilet. "We're back," yelled Asta as he entered the base along with Noelle and Magna. Clang clang. In the forest close to the Black Bull's base, Sekke was practicing the few movements that Yami showed him yesterday. He made a thick pillar of bronze using his magic and was repeatedly striking it in the way Yami showed him yesterday. "Fuck it! To hell with break your limits," said Sekke as his speed increased, making the movements of his sword faster than a normal person's eye could see. Clink! After striking continuously for a few hours, the sword made out Sekke's magic shattered from taking too much damage, making Sekke stop and fall down back on the ground while taking deep breaths and his whole body being covered in sweat. "Seriously, I really don't like how pitiful I looked yesterday," said Sekke as he took deep breaths. Suddenly out of nowhere a towel fell on his face, making Sekke move it away from his face and look at the one who brought it for him. "Seeker? You already came back?" asked Sekke as he saw his familiar. Sekke sat up and wiped his face, seeing which Seeker flew and landed in front of him. She looked at Sekke, or more like his hands, which were bleeding a bit, and jumped towards Sekke's pouch. She then took out a small box out of it and hopped back to be in front of Sekke. The ointment," said Sekke as he looked at his hand, which had a small amount of blood on them. "Don't worry, Seeker, this is nothing for the Dark Lord," said Sekke with a grin on his face. Seeker just looked at him with her usual expression as she pushed the ointment forward, telling him to use it. Both of them stared at each other for a while before Seeker took the ointment in her mouth and hopped onto his shoulder and shoved the ointment in front of Sekke's face. "All right, no need to act that stubborn," said Sekke as he took the ointment from her and used it on her wounds. Seeing that, Seeker opened her wings and patted Sekke's head as if telling him that he did a good job. "Oh, Seeker, you will make me blush." "Anyways, how was the mission?" asked Sekke. Seeker just gave him a wings up, seeing which Sekke smiled and said, "Well, let's go and meet Asta and Noelle then." Seeker just jumped back into his pocket since it was the most comfortable spot for her and she really missed it for the whole day she spent away from Sekke. "Aren't you acting spoilt?" "Well, it's fine with me though," said Sekke as he patted the bird's head. "I am back," said Sekke as he came inside the base and saw Asta, Magna, and Noelle laughing out loud. "Yo, brat," said Yami as he raised his hand and gestured him to come closer. "What is it, Yim Dash?" "It was you right who told me to drown in shit," said Yami as he grabbed Sekke's head and started crushing it. "Ow ow 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 ow," yelled Sekke as he tried to move the hand away from him. "I will kill you," said Yami as he used reinforcement magic to increase his strength. Sekke used his magic and turned to bronze so as to strengthen his strength and defense to move the hand away from top of his head. Seeing their captain going on like that, the rest of the members also got wild as a fight broke out between Magna and Luck, which soon pulled Asta in it as well. "Oi! Stop breaking everything," yelled Yami as he let go of Sekke and smashed the nearby wall. All of them immediately stopped and apologized to Yami, and just after that Yami realized something. "Oi, brat," said Yami as he looked at Asta. "Yes? Looks like the Wizard King appreciated your work on your first mission and it seems that we won a star," said Yami as he took out a golden star and showed it to everyone. Asta, being Asta, immediately got excited over it, only to question what the star was. Once the explanation was over, Asta said, "How much stars do we have, Captain? We cannot lose to that Golden Dawn." Yami smirked and said, "With this star, we finally get at a total of -30. Exactly 100 away from the Golden Dawn. It will take forever to defeat Yunk like that," yelled Asta. Yami totally ignored him and then glanced at Sekke. "And about you, brat, it seems like you did quite good on your missions. The Wizard King have awarded you a total of 7 stars, said Yami as he took out another 7 stars and showed it to Sekke. Sekke widened his eyes in surprise and said, 7 stars from just 5 missions. Sometimes my talent and excellence even scares me. Sekke smirked as he looked at Asta and said, "Congratulations on getting a star from 1 mission. Sekke, you bastard. Just you wait, I will beat you in no time," yelled Asta as he realized that Sekke was mocking him. Sekke just laughed in amusement after hearing that, seeing which Asta just got more pissed at him. After that, Yami gave them their salaries, which made even Sekke's jaw drop for a moment seeing how large the sum was. "Alright, you all can take a day off tomorrow, so do whatever you want," said Yami as he was immediately pestered by Luck and Gauche. Chapter 36, The Date Spot. The next morning Sekke woke up rather late thanks all the frustration and practice he went through the previous day. Sekke too decided to not wake him up and let him rest a bit since she knew that it was a day off for him. Once he woke up and was refreshed, Sekke went downstairs towards the living room and noticed that the hall was totally empty. Looks like they went to town on their own. Well, since Charmy is not here, I am not getting any breakfast as well. Sekke, let's go, we're going to the town as well, said Sekke as Sekke woke up and came down in the hall as well. Sekke went out and took Ecstase out of its sheath and made it big enough for him to stand on and coated it with bronze. Sekke sat on Sekke's shoulder as Sekke jumped on top of his sword, and soon he left for the town as well. After reaching the castle town, Sekke just walked around with Sekke on his shoulder and heard some people talking about the fact that a lot of Black Bull members were there in the town and to be careful against them. Looks like it was good that I didn't take my robe with me before coming here, and why the foo *k would they even wear their robe on a day off, said Sekke as Sekke, who was on his shoulder, nodded her head. So Sekke, anything special you want to eat? Asked Sekke as Sekke started looking around and pointed her wing in the direction she wanted Sekke to go. After visiting several stalls, Sekke's hands were full of various types of food, seeing which Sekke stopped leading him to different stores. Understanding that it was enough for the two of them, Sekke started looking around for an empty spot where they can sit down and eat their food in peace, and thought, let's go to the Colosseum, there should not be that many people there right now. Sekke, see if there is an empty spot nearby. If not, let's go to the Colosseum, said Sekke as nodded her head and took off. While waiting for Sekke to return back, Sekke felt someone looking towards him and became slightly cautious of his surroundings. He then slowly turned around so as to not look suspicious to the person looking at him and saw someone familiar who was looking at him. "Anna?" asked Sekke as he waved his hand towards the black-haired girl. The black-haired girl looked at Sekke for a while before she rushed off to somewhere, making Sekke a bit surprised by her actions. "Looks like she doesn't want to meet me," thought Sekke as he shrugged his shoulders. "Good morning, Sekke. What a coincidence meeting you here," said Anna, who all of a sudden appeared beside him. Sekke took a step back from her after seeing her appear out of nowhere and just widened his eyes in surprise. What the heck was that? Did she just teleport here? Thought Sekke as he looked at the expressionless black-haired girl. "Good morning, it's been a while since we met. How have you been?" asked Sekke. "I am fine. How about you?" "I am awesome as ever. Heck, I even earned 7 stars for the squad," replied Sekke with a smirk. "You really are awesome. I only earned 3, said Anna with a slight admiration in her voice. "Really? Then as I expected, you are powerful as well." "Well, not as great as me, but looks like I must keep an eye on you as well," said Sekke as he felt a bit surprised seeing that the girl in front of him earned more stars than Asta and Yuno, the protagonists of the series. "Good, looks like Sekke is impressed," thought Anna as his lips curled up a bit. "What are you doing here?" asked Sekke. "Oh, I ditch ***, I am on my day off," said Anna without any change in her expression. She just said ditch. "Right," thought Sekke, but just let her be. "What about you, Sekke?" "Our squad's official day off," said Sekke as he looked around. "Are you looking for someone, Sekke?" asked Anna. "Yeah, my girl just flew off to somewhere and I am currently waiting for her to be back," said Sekke, hearing which Anna's eyes immediately widened in shock. "G-girl? Don't tell me dash." "Oh, here she is," said Sekke as he saw Sekke coming back and landing onto his shoulder. Seeing the one that Sekke referred to as the girl was the bird on Sekke's shoulder, Anna sighed in relief and looked at the bird. "You found a spot, Sekke?" asked Sekke as he turned his head towards the bird and saw her nodding her head. Sekke smiled and said, "Good, then show the way." Sekke nodded and then started giving him directions with her wings, making Sekke nod and follow the directions. "I never thought that I would feel jealous of a bird," thought Anna as he saw Sekke paying the bird more attention than her. Anna, who was looking at Sekke's back, suddenly saw him turning around. "Want to join us, Anna?" asked Sekke as Anna looked at him with a small smile and nodded her head. The three of them just followed Seeker's directions as they soon found an empty spot with slightly less crowd in the area. This is a date spot, thought Sekke as he looked around and saw a lot of couples sitting around and then looked toward Seeker, who looked back at him. Sorry, Anna, I didn't know it will be a place like this. It's alright, I am fine. But T-. It's alright, I am fine, said Anna as she looked intently at Sekke. Oi, you are making yourself obvious once again, thought Sekke as he saw Anna talking a seat and patting the area beside him, gesturing him to sit as well. Alone with Sekke on a place like this will make it a date, thought Anna as she totally ignored the bird on Sekke's shoulder but still mentally thanked her for bringing them to this place. Sekke, who saw that Anna was already sitting, looked at Seeker and said, of all places you had to choose a date spot, well whatever, not like it bothers the Dark Lord, said Sekke as he walked towards the seat. Seeker, on the other hand, who just heard what Sekke said, widened her eyes a bit and looked around. It didn't look like a date spot from above, thought Seeker as she flew off Sekke's shoulder and landed beside Anna so as to make some gap between the girl and Sekke. Anna looked at Seeker for a while and tried to move he away, which only resulted in her hand getting ruthlessly pecked by the bird. This bird, just be half that you are Sekke's familiar or I would have roosted you by now, though Anna as she saw Seeker looking intently at her. No seducing him, his mom asked me to take care of him, thought Seeker as she looked at Anna and then glanced at Sekke and thought, does he like this girl? But soon shook her head and saw Sekke eating his meal and decided to eat as well. Chapter 37, The Black Market. After the three of them were done eating, Sekke sat back in a comfortable position and looked at Seeker. Looks like you had fun. Seeker looked at Sekke as raised her wing in response. Sekke smiled and caressed her head, making Anna, who was seeing him, feel a bit jealous of the bird. I never thought that a bird will make me this envious, thought Anna, but suddenly her eyes widened a bit as she looked directly at Sekke. Sekke, there is something on your face, and without even giving him time to reply, she took out a handkerchief to wipe his mouth. Sekke, who had his mouth forkfully being wiped by the girl beside him, looked at her and thought, let's just think that she is just touchy. Anna soon stopped wiping his mouth and nodded her head with satisfaction. But all of a sudden she felt a hand on her shoulder. Turning around, all three of them saw another woman with crimson lion robe looking at Anna with a worried look on her face. Anna, hurry up, you will be scolded by Captain if he found out you were skipping the patrol, and grabbed her hand and started pulling her away. Why, said Anna, but was totally ignored by the other girl, who dragged her back. Well, there she goes, let's continue exploring, said Sekke as Seeker jumped onto his shoulder, feeling a bit happy after a good meal and having her alone time back with Sekke. Walking around for a while, Sekke enjoyed his free time without any problems. He also met some of the members of his squad along the way but decided to let them have their fun too and continued his walk. Oi! Sekke! You are her too, huh? Said Asta, who came towards him along with Vanessa and Noelle. Some kind of friend you are leading me all alone at the base, said Sekke as he looked at Asta. Hey! I tried to wake you up but that bird of yours stopped me from doing so, said Asta as he pointed his finger at Seeker, who looked at Asta and started pecking the hell out of him. Yo, Sekke. What have you been doing here? Asked Vanessa. Well, met one of my acquaintances, had some street food, bought some medicines and other stuff and just looked around, said Sekke as he stopped Seeker from attacking Asta. What about you all? Foo, wanna join us and let me guide you? Asked Vanessa, to which Sekke just nodded his head and followed them. You guys sure are popular around the town, said Sekke as he looked at Noelle and Vanessa. Well, being magic knights do have its perks. Where's your robe, by the way? Asked Vanessa. Today's my day off. No need to wear it, said Sekke, making the three of them look at him with their eyes widened a bit. Now that you said it, muttered Noelle as she held her robe. How can you, Sekke? We worked so hard to earn it, said Asta as he hugged his robe. You do take it out to wash it, right? Asked Sekke, making Asta grunt and take a step back. And now it's your choice if you want to wear it or not, said Vanessa as she led them to the black market. Hey, where are we going? It's just a dead end here, said Asta as he looked around. Vanessa chuckled at that and said, follow me, and continued walking towards the wall and passed through it. Asta and Noelle widened their eyes in surprise while Sekke just stood forward and said, "Alright, platform 9 superscript 3 / here I come," and ran straight through the wall as well. "My, aren't you excited?" said Vanessa as she looked at Sekke, who immediately came in after her. "Well, you get to experience that daily, you know," said Sekke as he stepped aside for Asta and Noelle to come as well. Soon the other two rookies joined them and they started looking around the black market. Finding some of the items that interested Sekke, he separated from the girls who were looking out for an item to help in controlling Noelle's magic. "Hey Asta? Wanna try this? What is this, a book? It's the latest edition of Under the Witch's Robe magazine. My dad had some of these, one of the best research material in my opinion," said Sekke as he looked intently at the magazine that was present on the shelf in front of him, protected by the shopkeeper. Research? Sounds troublesome to me. What kind of research? Asked Asta. Sekke looked around and noticed that no girl or secure was near him and brought his mouth close to Asta's ear and whispered something to him. Asta's eyes immediately widened in surprise and said, But isn't he that shameful behavior for his magic night? A magazine which have pictures that are playing as a video with all kind of stuff, think about it Asta. Those bouncy tits jiggling in front of you. That bubbly ass boy Asta, yelled Sekke as he looked at Asta, who was fallen on the ground with some blood coming out from his nose. That made him nosebleed. Looks like he will have trouble having sex with his partner in future, said Sekke as he just let him be and bought the magazine from the shopkeeper while also secretly hiding it in between his grimoires. Thief! Thief! Yelled an elderly voice, making Asta wake up in an instant. Where? Asked Asta as he started looking around. There, pointed Sekke as he saw a man running out of the black market. Come on Sekke, we need to help, said Asta and rushed towards the man. Already on it, said Sekke as he pointed his finger towards the thief and made a magic bullet. Paralysis bullet, said Sekke as the magic bullet fired towards the man, hitting on his neck and shocking him with electricity and paralyzing him as well. Asta, who ran towards the man unknown to the fact that the thief was paralyzed, took out his huge sword and slammed it in the man, knocking him out in an instant. I hope that the guy is left alive after that, thought Sekke as he saw Asta saying something to the man while Noelle and Vanessa along with an old lady approached him. Sekke too walked towards them and got thanked by the old lady and received a coin from her as a reward. If I remember it correctly, then this granny must be the Wizard King, thought Sekke, not really sure about it. Later that day, back at the Black Bull's base, everyone returned back rather late and started telling about their experiences out loud. Oh right! Yami-san, said Sekke. What is it? Asked Yami. I got a gift for you, said Sekke with a smile and gave him a box. Huh? A gift for me? It's the first time that someone gave me a gift, said Yami as he looked at the box from every side. What now? Should I open it? Asked Yami as he and everyone else in the room looked at Sekke. Sekke just gestured them to go on, seeing which all of them looked at the box. Huh, ain't it shiny? What the hell is it? Asked Yami as he opened the box, which revealed some kind of metallic tool inside it. It is a magic toilet paper maker. You just need to pass magic energy to it and it will make toilet paper for you. Just install it in your toilet, said Sekke with a smile. Who the hell made this uselessly useful thing? Said Yami as he looked at the thing in his hand with some surprise. Wait, are you saying that I go to take dump touch? Said Yami as he looked at Sekke and narrowed his eyes. Sekke just averted his eyes and said, Charmy, what is in today's menu? La. Oh yeah, for today dash. Oi, dumbass, you dare ignore me, said Yami as he walked up to Sekke and grabbed his head. Sekke just groaned in pain as his head got clenched by Yami, who let him go after a while when he went to break his limits. Chapter 38, Dungeon Exploration. A few days passed by since the Black Bulls had their day off. The things went rather normally for them, with the squad getting no missions for the time being. Seeing this as a break from all his work, Sekke decided to make up for all the days he was busy with his missions and focused on training, which now included a few stances he copied from Asta and Yami. He also helped Noelle along with Asta, who still had shitty control over her magic, but still she was improving slowly. Currently in the HQ's living room, Sekke was having a chat with Asta and Noelle when suddenly all of them noticed Finral's magic portal opening in front of them. "Oh, Yami-san is back," said Sekke as he looked towards the portal. "Welcome back, Yami-san," said Sekke as he saw the captain come out of the portal. Yami, on the other hand, remained silent and smoked as he looked at Sekke and the other two. "Alright everyone, I have an announcement to make," said Yami as he gathered everyone's attention. "Apparently a new dungeon has appeared in the Clover King Dash. A new dungeon. I need to carry all the gold that I can gather there. New spells would be a welcome addition to the Dark Lord's power as well, and having Seeker with me, it won't be a problem to locate the treasure room or something which will have a matching mana like me," thought Sekke as he ignored what Yami was saying. "You two, looks like the Wizard King himself selected you two to take this mission," said Yami as he looked at Asta and Sekke. Everyone in the room got surprised after hearing that as they looked at the two boys with shock. How the hell were these bastards got selected by the Wizard King? "Did the two of you bump into him?" said Magna as he looked at the two of them. "I understand about Sekke, but how is even Asta selected?" said Noelle as she looked at Asta with a doubtful look on her face. "Oi! What the hell did you mean by that?" said Asta as he looked at Noelle, who just snorted and looked away from him. "Anyways, Noelle, you will be going along with them," said Yami. "Huh? Me?" asked Noelle with a slight surprise in his tone. "Everything will let you gain some experience," said Yami as he took a smoke. "Luck, accompany them. You will lose your touch if you stay cooped up too much." "Really?" "Yay," said Luck with a smile on his face. "Will it be right?" asked Noelle with uncertainty as she looked towards Luck. "Looks like that is the place," said Sekke as he saw the opening of the dungeon. "Yay, we are here," said Luck as he walked towards the dungeon. Sekke and the other two followed him as well, and soon the four of them were in the dark cave. Asta, who had a torch with him, lit it up and walked beside Luck. "Hey, can you not stick to me while walking?" said Asta as he glanced at Noelle, who was hiding Asta's shirt. "Looks like a royal is scared of the dark," said Sekke as he glanced at Noelle. "Who said that I am scared of dark?" said Noelle. "I never said that it was you who was scared," said Sekke as he chuckled, hearing which Noelle growled and soon tripped her feet, making Asta fall down along with her. "Welp, there goes our source of light." "Aye, Luck, did you find it yet?" "Not yet," said Luck as Sekke and Luck walked side by side and were followed by Asta and Noelle. "Oh, here it is," said Luck, who found some light coming out some gaps in the wall and removed one off the bricks, which revealed the inside of the dungeon. "This place really is full of mana," said Noelle in amazement. "It sure is," said Sekke as he looked around the dungeon with distorted space. "I want to feel mana as well," said Asta as he fell down on his knees and started complaining about his lack of mana. Sekke and Noelle looked at him for a while before Sekke looked away from him and shook his head. He has tried to give Asta some of his mana using his sacred gear, but that too didn't work on the mana-less boy. "Stop that, Luck," said Sekke as he saw Luck was about to step on another trap. "Haha, that was fun," said Luck as he looked at the three rookies. "How the hell was that fun?" said Asta and Noelle in unison, hearing which Luck laughed once again. "Now then," muttered Luck as he started checking the area, and soon his eyes turned dangerous. "Want me to help you?" asked Sekke. "No, I want to enjoy myself as well, you know," said Luck, knowing that Sekke must have felt the mana from the enemies as well. "I leave the dungeon exploration to you guys," said Luck as he dashed towards the enemies that he sensed earlier. "Wait! Where are you going?" "Have fun!" "See you soon," said Sekke as he looked at Luck. "Now then, looks like we're on our own," said Sekke as he looked at the other two rookies. The two of them just sighed and looked at Sekke, who had a fake cough, and said, "By logical thinking, I am promoting myself as the leader." "Huh, how does that work?" asked Noelle. "Taking into consideration that you don't have any co-trip over your magic and the fact that Asta is an idiot, I think that it is logical for me to be the leader. Not to mention that amongst the three of us I have done the most missions," said Sekke. "Hey, what do you mean by I am an idiot?" "You bastard," said Asta as he looked at Sekke with an annoyed look on his face. "Anyway, let's continue the dungeon crawling," said Sekke as lead the group. "I will show you that I am not an idiot," declared Asta as he rushed forward with his anti-magic sword in his hand. Noelle, what do you see? Asked Sekke. An idiot, said Noelle with a deadpan look on her face as started triggering trap after traps. If you want I can give you two some space to spend some alone time, said Sekke. Noelle immediately blushed as she looked at Sekke with a furious look on her face. What are you talking about? Why would I want to spend some alone time with Asta? Yelled Noelle. Sekke looked at the noble with a teasing smirk and said, I never mentioned that the alone time has to be spent with Asta though. Noelle's blush deepened at that as she looked towards Asta, which made her heart start pounding. Sekke, who looked at the royal tsundere, flicked her forehead and said, Don't get too overboard, okay? He then looked towards Asta and said, Asta, I will check some other route and will return back in 10 minutes. Make sure to keep our fellow rookie safe. All right. Leave it to me. Noelle, come with me, said Asta as he gestured Noelle to come towards him. Sekke smirked and gave Noelle a slug push and went with Seeker to look at a different route. I am such a good guy. Aren't I, Seeker? Asked Sekke, to which the bird just sighed. I just left you guys for 10 minutes and you are already doing tentacle play. Man, you guys are fast, said Sekke as he looked at his two teammates held up in the air by some tentacles. Chapter 40, Meeting with the Golden Dawn. Seeing his fellow rookies held up by hentai vines which were clearly outlining Noelle's intimate areas, Sekke pointed his hand towards the trap and fired a big magic bullet at it, causing an explosion and engulfing the main body of the beast. The vines that were holding the two Black Bull rookies loosened up and Asta and Noelle started falling down. Wah, said both Noelle and Asta in unison as they started falling down. Sekke, on the other hand, turned serious as he felt some presences near him and was about to attack when all of a sudden he noticed a small twister appearing below Asta and Noelle. Wah! What is this? Asked Noelle with a surprised look on her face as she saw the pillar of wind. Wow, Noelle, you are something quite mature for your age, said Sekke as he looked at the silver-haired royal whose dress was flipped up by the wind, giving a clear view of what the girl was wearing underneath. Noelle, who heard Sekke's comment, was confused for a while when she suddenly noticed that her skirt was flipped. Wah! Where the hell are you looking at? Yelled Noelle as she pushed her skirt down and glared at Sekke. Sekke, on the other hand, just gave her a thumbs up and then turned around to look at the newcomers. How long are you guys to keep hiding there? Asked Sekke as he looked towards a certain path where he felt the presences from. Soon 3 people wearing Golden Dawn robes came out, looked towards Sekke and his comrades. Yuno! Asta! So you are here as well, said Yuno in a calm tone. Yeah. We have a mission to explore this dungeon and conquer it, said Asta with a huge smile on his face as he stood up and came forward. Noelle followed him but stopped beside Sekke and slapped his shoulder, which was successfully evaded by the Dark Lord. Humph, why the hell did you help those troublemakers? Said the man with glasses and light blue hair. He then pushed back his glasses and said, Our only mission is to reach the treasure chamber as soon as possible. We don't need to deal with fools like these. Well, ain't he a friendly person, muttered Sekke in a sarcastic tone. Humph, how dare he call a royal like me a fool? And what's with that tone? He is very rude, said Noelle as she heard Sekke's comment. Sekke looked at her and said, You talked like that to us for the first time we met too, you know. Hearing that, Noelle got embarrassed and started giving her reasoning to do so, like her being a royal and all. Sekke just ignored her and shoved her head away, which she had brought a bit too close to yell at him. Asta started bickering with the glasses person as Yuno looked at the two of them with slight amusement, which was hardly visible on his expressionless face. Hello, Noelle-san. Good to see you here, said the girl from Golden Dawn as she came towards Noelle. Sekke just looked at Noelle, who was looking away from the said girl, and thought, Seems like our royal is troubled. We haven't seen each other since the last year's royal banquet. How have you been? Asked the girl. Someone you know? Asked Asta as he looked at Noelle. Sekke just let the 3 of them talk as he walked towards Yuno. Thanks for helping them get a safe landing, said Sekke. It's fine, I was just repaying my debt to Asta. It would have been better if you haven't helped them as well, said Yuno. Well, your friend is a huge troublemaker, so I need to make sure he doesn't escalate it too much and drags me in the trouble as well, said Sekke. I apologize for his troublemaking tendency. Thank you for taking care of him, said Yuno as he bowed his head. Ah, recently our team was rewarded a star by the Wizard King for completing a mission, said Mimosa with a smile on her face. Hearing that, the light blue-haired guy snorted and looked the black bulls. Hearing that, both Asta and Noelle placed their hands on their waists and puffed up their chests. Wow, ain't that cute, said Sekke as he smiled as well and looked at the Golden Dawn members, who looked at Sekke with a confused look on their faces. We too earned a star by completing a mission, you know. More so, Sekke was rewarded 7 stars by the Wizard King, said Asta with a boasting tone. Not even taking a second long, Kaluz came forward and pointed his finger at Asta and said, "Liars." Huh, reacted Asta. There is no way that the newbies from Black Bulls would be awarded stars so easily, said Klaus as he shrugged his shoulders. Asta was about to argue, but Sekke stepped in and said, "Then according to that, the missions that were given to Black Bulls must be harder than the one given to you. After all, you said that Black Bulls would not be given stars easily." Hearing that, all of them looked at Sekke, who was looking at Klaus with a smile. "Wow, you got a star by completing an easier mission than ours." "Ain't you great," said Sekke. Hearing that, Klaus's brows started twitching as he glared at the Dark Lord. "Who the hell do you think you are to mock me, who is not only a member of the strongest squad but also a noble?" "The name's Sekke Bronzazza, the great Dark Lord." "Nice to meet you," said Sekke as he gave a casual salute. Klaus glared at him for a while and then snorted. "I have no time to deal with fools like you. Even appointing people like you on a mission like this is a mistake," said Klaus. "How dare you? The Wizard King himself gave us this mission," yelled Asta as he came closer to Klaus. "Such a bald lie," said Klaus. "I am not lying," replied Asta, making the noble snort. "That person from your squad really is a pain in the butt," said Sekke, hearing which Yuno just remained silent while Mimosa just gave a wry smile. She then glanced at Sekke and asked, "Did you just say that your name was Sekke Bronzazza?" Sekke, who heard her, looked at the ginger-headed royal and said, "Yes, and I believe that you must be Mimosa-san. It's been a while since we met. Wait, you might not remember me since it's been quite a while." "Foo-foo, don't worry, I remember Sekke-san very well." "It's really been a while. How have you been?" said Mimosa with a smile. "As you can see, I am great as ever. How about you?" "I am doing great as well. As you can see, I am now on Magic Night too," replied Mimosa. "Wait, you two know each other?" asked Noelle as she looked at Sekke and Mimosa. "Well, you can say that we do know each other," said Sekke. "Yes, Sekke-san is someone I met when I was a kid," said Mimosa. "Though we haven't seen each other for years now. It's really a surprise that the both of us remember each other, considering the fact that we have only a couple of times, and that too a few years ago," said Sekke. "Foo-foo, well, Sekke-san's farewells left quite an impression on both me and my brother after all," said Mimosa with a smile. "Well, in my defense, I would just like to say that at both the times when I was leaving, your father was near you too, and I didn't know how to approach you at that time," said Sekke as he remembered the time he just left them without even saying goodbye to them. "Whatever you say, that was quite rude, you know," complained Mimosa. Sekke just nodded without thinking much about it and then looked at Asta and Klaus, who were still bickering, and thought, "Wasn't that guy saying something about completing the mission soon or something just a few minutes ago?" and looked at Klaus with a deadpan look on his face. Chapter 41, On Your. Asta and Klaus continued to bicker for a while, and after some time both of them got breathless, making them stop for a bit. "As far as I know, there should be one more person with you. Where is your senior?" asked Klaus. Hearing that, both Asta and Noelle stiffened up. "There is no way we can say that luck just ditched us here, though both of them. We separated ways because our senior, who is also a great censor, felt something odd in the dungeon and decided to look into it. Though he didn't want us to ditch the mission and asked us to continue without him for a while," said Sekke as he looked at Klaus, making the glasses wearing mage serious as well. "Something odd? What could it be?" thought Klaus, but just kept it at the back of his mind. He didn't want to ponder much on something that is being done by the Black Bulls and just snorted. "Whatever, just don't get in our way," said Klaus, and said some more insulting things about the Black Bulls, making Asta bicker with him once again. "I really don't know how there isn't a rebellion yet against the nobles," muttered Sekke as he looked at Asta and Klaus. He then looked at his pocket and saw Seeker, who looked back at him and shrugged her wings. Sekke sighed and talked with Mimosa for a bit before Klaus interrupted them and called out Mimosa. Mimosa replied to him with a smile and used her magic, making a plant appear near her and a projection of the dungeon appearing over it. Sekke glanced at the map and noticed that it only showed the paths of the dungeon and not the traps or layout of the structures. It's just a rough sketch, but still it's good in times like this, thought Sekke, and then looked at his familiar and asked, "But why use the map when you have GPS, right, Seeker?" Seeker, who didn't understand what Sekke meant by that word, just nodded her head and jumped on top of his shoulder. "Humph, Yuno," said Klaus as wind started gathering below the members of the Golden Dawn, and the three of them rode small tornadoes to get back to exploring the dungeon. Seeing them leave into the cave, Sekke smirked and took out his shades. "All right, let's get going as well. We need to win, right?" said Sekke as his grimoire started flipping pages. Bronze creation magic, bronze rider plus sidecar. And immediately Sekke's bike with a sidecar appeared in front of him. Seeing the bike, Seeker took out her shades from Sekke's pocket as well and put them on and sat on the bike. Seeing his familiar sitting on the bike, Sekke shook his head with a wry smile on his face and sat on the bike and gestured his friends to get in as well. The two of them nodded their heads, though they felt a bit scared as they knew how fast Sekke usually drives, but despite that they still decided to sit on the bike since they wanted to defeat the Golden Dawn members. Once all of them were seated, with Noelle occupying the sidecar and Asta sitting behind him, Sekke channeled his magic power to the bike and immediately went forward. "Whaa," said both Noelle and Asta as they tightly held the sides of the bike so as to not fall down. "Yeah. Make some noise," said Sekke as he heard Asta and Noelle's excited shouts. Seeker, as if encouraging him, raised her wings while sitting in his pocket with her shades on. Soon Sekke notices the Golden Dawn members, who look back at them with shocked look on their faces. "All right, guys, look to the right and smile," said Sekke, hearing which both Noelle and Asta shut their mouth and looked towards their left with a smirk on their faces. The closer Sekke got to the Golden Dawn members, his speed slowed down, and finally he came close to the Golden Dawn members. He looked at Klaus and smirked, making the glasses-wearing noble frown a bit, and said, "On your left," and immediately increased his speed, leaving behind the Golden Squad. That bastard," said Klaus as he clutched his fists in anger as he looked at Sekke's bike going forward at full speed. Yuno and Mimosa looked at their senior for a while before they turned to look at Sekke's figure, which was getting smaller and smaller. "Oi! Sekke," said Asta. Where are we heading to? Do you know where the treasure chamber is?" "I don't, but Seeker can lead us," said Sekke. "But this direction," said Noelle. "Yeah, we are going to get luck too. You must have felt them by now as well, right?" asked Sekke while looking at Noelle. Noelle nodded her head and gulped her saliva. She could tell by the mana around her that a fight was going on near them, and luck was there as well. Stopping his motorcycle a bit further away, Sekke and the others got off it, and Sekke dispelled his magic. "Hey, why are we going on that? We can reach him faster, right?" asked Asta. "Yes, but it will also notify the enemy about us coming towards them, and we won't be able to ambush the enemy if we need to," said Sekke, making Asta complain for a bit, saying that magic knights don't ambush others, which earned him a lecture from the Royal Tsundere. Finally getting what they wanted into Asta's head, the Black Bull's rookies started moving towards the location where they felt Luck's mana from. Chapter 42, Lotus. Sekke and the Black Bull rookies soon reached the room where they could feel the fluctuations of mana, except for Asta. All three of them really peeked inside the room and saw Luck trying to attack a middle-aged man with back hair and being surrounded by smoke. Sekke looked at Luck, who was not even able to land a single hit on the Diamond Kingdom mage, and then said, "Luck is at a disadvantage, and it seems like that man has a debuff type magic as well, since Luck is moving so slow." "So that's why Luck was moving so slow in a fight? I thought Miss Vanessa made him drink some booze, which is making him wobble like that," said Asta. "How the can you call that slow?" said Noelle as she looked at the fight where she cannot follow Luck's movements at all. "Now then, let's think of a way to hell dash," said Sekke, but before he was able to, Asta jumped down and took out his sword. "And there goes the idiot," said Sekke as he looked at the manaless boy. "That idiot Bacasta," said Noelle with an annoyed tone. "What should we do now?" asked Noelle as she looked at Sekke. "Well, seeing that the idiot had gone straight ahead, let's do the same as well," no need to sneak attack now, said Sekke as he grabbed Noelle like a sack and jumped down as well. Hey! What the hell are you doing? Said Noelle in an angry and embarrassed tone. Shut up or I will drop you, said Sekke as his grimoire started flipping pages. Bronze creation magic, helping hands. Soon a large amount of mana gathered near Sekke, getting the attention of both Luck and the Diamond Kingdom mage as they looked at Sekke. Good grief, more black bulls and youthful ones and that, said the Diamond Kingdom mage. ORAA, yelled Asta, who appeared above the Diamond Kingdom mage with his sword ready to smash the guy. My, that's a huge sword you have there, said the Diamond Kingdom mage as he jumped back and avoided the sword. Boom! Just as the sword crashed on the ground, a huge crater formed there, making the Diamond Kingdom mage looked at Asta with a deadpan expression on his face. He was about to hit me with that. Sekke, who was now standing on top of a huge hand's palm with Noelle beside him, looked at black-haired man and said, Mosquito Killer. Just as Sekke yelled the name, another huge hand made of his bronze magic appeared above the Diamond Kingdom mage and smashed towards the ground. Seriously, what's with smashing elderly to the ground? *I* youth these days, said the black-haired man as his grimoire flipped and a thick cloud of smoke appeared around him, slowed the huge hand, giving him enough time to dodge the attack. Would you do me a favor and let this old man catch his brie dash? Giant's flick, said Sekke as both him and Noelle descended to the ground while still being on top of the palm. The other hand, which was near the old man, immediately flicked its finger, sending the old man flying. You alright, Luck? Asked Sekke as he came to the ground and deactivated his magic, making the giant hands disappear. Luck, who was yelling at Asta for interrupting his fight and was attacked by his protagonist talk magic, had a change in his heart and looked at Sekke with a smile on his face. Yeah, I am fine. I was just about to defeat him, but you interrupted me, said Luck. Sekke just shrugged his shoulders and said, You were taking too much time. It's only been 30 minutes though since I left, said Luck. Yar, you really don't show mercy to this old man. I have 3 daughters to take care of at home, you know, said the Diamond Mage as he stood up with some blood coming out of his mouth. Then you should take care of them and stay back at home, old man. These days people are not that good, who knows what can happen to them in your absence, said Sekke as he looked at the black-haired man. By the way, what's your name? Asked Sekke. Thanks for your advice, and you should introduce yourself first before asking others about their name. My name is Lotus, from the Diamond Kingdom, a kind and peace-loving old man, said Lotus as he looked at Sekke. You can call me the Dark Lord, said Sekke as he walked beside Asta and smacked his head. Ow! Who the hell told you to jump just like that? Said Sekke as he looked at the man, a less idiot. Said Asta. Can't you just use your brains for once and not just run into a fight? Said Noelle as he looked at Asta. Said Asta, totally shocked hearing what his friend said. Haha, well, it was fine though. It's good to jump into fights, said Luck. Luck, said Asta with a grateful look on his face as he glanced at Luck. Don't encourage the idiot, said Sekke as he looked at the old man, who suddenly slammed his hand on the ground. Smoke creation magic, prison of the fallen king. Smoke suddenly started to surround the black bulls, seeing which Sekke narrowed his eyes and looked at the old man. Well, you made the old man get serious, you know, said Lotus. And you made a huge mistake by making the Dark Lord a bit serious. Bronze creation magic, sword strike. Multiple swords appeared behind Sekke and shot forward towards Lotus, who immediately made some smoke clouds and hid inside it to dodge the attack. Arg! Yelled the old man from behind the smoke. Looks like he got hit by one of them, said Sekke as he and his teammates got surrounded by the smoke. Asta and the others tried to push away the smoke, but soon realized that it was not just normal smile and that it was solid. Even Asta's anti-magic was not working, since the smoke immediately shifted to cover up for the lost smoke. Well then, farewell, yous of the Black Bulls. It was nice meeting you all. Especially you, Dark Lord Kuin, said Lotus from behind the tower of smoke. Sekke, who heard the sound, turned his head to look towards the direction from where the sound came from and said, Where are you going? Asked Sekke. Well, I need to finish my mission soon and go back to my daughters. After all, I cannot leave them back at him alone for a long time, right? Sekke, who was now sure from where the sound came from, smirked and said, "Yeah, right," and took out his sword. "Extend," said Sekke, making the sword's blade lengthen, and then looked at the others. "Run at full speed once the path get clear." The three of them nodded, seeing which Sekke rapidly moved his hands, cutting through a huge chunk of the smoke wall, dispersing the smoke and making a path for them. "Retract." "No time to waste," said Sekke as Asta and Luck shot forward at full speed, leaving behind the royal on dust. Hey!" yelled Noelle as she was left behind, and immediately Sekke's scared gear tentacles wrapped around her and pulled her out. "Don't leave like that, old man, you will make me sad," said Sekke as he looked at the old man, who just facepalmed and said, "You are forcing me to use my trump card, you know." Sekke, Asta, and Luck immediately got ready to take on the attack which was about to come towards them as they saw the aura around the old man turn serious in an instant. "I only use this technique when I know nothing else is going to work on my enemy, so brace yourselves," said the old man in a serious tone, hearing which Luck got excited while Noelle gulped her saliva. Sekke prepared himself to immediately form a shield in case he need to block the attack and thought, what type of attack is it going to be? A concentrated attack, an AoE attack, or some kind of debuff or something? Lotus smirked as a lot of smoke gathered around him, alerting Sekke and the others. "Nijirundeo," said the old man as a vehicle made of smoke shot forward from the huge cloud of smoke and rushed towards the exit. "You dare pull a Joestar on me," yelled Sekke as his grimoire started flipping pages. Yar," said the old man as he increased his speed as he felt a large amount of mana gathering behind him. Lotus also gathered his fallen subordinates from the ground and then looked behind to see what was happening. Bronze creation magic plus lightning debuff magic, Gaster paralyzing blaster. A huge animal head made of bronze appeared in front of Sekke as mana started gathering inside it. "That doesn't look good," though Lotus as he looked at the huge animal head. Lotus immediately used his magic to make a huge smile screen, blinding all of them. "Haha, we can still sense you," said Luck with a smile, but all of a sudden it vanished as he muttered, "His mana just split all of a sudden." Sekke frowned at that, but then he realized something and smirked. "A good technique indeed. But it's useless in front of the Dark Lord," said Sekke as he fired the blast at the smoke screen. "Oh!" Multiple screams came out of the mouth of the diamond mages as they were hit by the blast. "Next time hide the mana of your subordinates as well," said Sekke as he saw the mana disappearing and soon saw a group of heavily injured diamond mages inside a barely standing smoke vehicle. All of a sudden Lotus came out of the group of mages with a lot of wounds on his body and said, "I will keep that in mind, Dark Lord Kuan." "I hope you will," said Sekke as he saw the man collapsing on the ground along with the smoke-made vehicle. Chapter 43, Talk with Lotus. There was a time when my cute daughters would swarm around me asking me to carry them in my arms with a cute expression on their faces. But now, forget the hugs, they don't even want to have my clothes washed off together with theirs, said Lotus with a nostalgic and sad look on his face. "Not gonna lie, dude, I can't that I know how that feels. But that gotta be sad seeing someone you care about give you a cold shoulder like that. But all children go through this phase nowadays, so it is not that uncommon," said Sekke as he looked at Lotus. Lotus just gave a tired sigh and looked down. He nodded his head and then kept quiet for a while. Currently, after the Black Bulls defeated the Diamond Kingdom mages, Sekke used his sacred gear to absorb all the remaining magic out of the mages and then restrain their hands with his magic, and also connected all of their cuffs with a chain so that none of them tries to run away. "Hey, Sekke? Is it really fine to bring them like that?" asked Noelle as she looked at the Diamond Kingdom mages with a look of uncertainty. "It's fine, our mission is just to get the treasure chamber before the Diamond Kingdom does. Not killing them, plus we don't have any personal grudge against them, right? They too were ordered to do this for their kingdom's sake, so I will just let the Clover Kingdom deal with them. And it's not like they can defeat us and get away from here," said Sekke as he tried to ease the Noelle's worry. "Sekke-kun, you are pretty unusual, you know? Even though you are smart enough to know that we are enemies from a rival kingdom, you still take that decision," said Lotus as he looked at the blonde-haired boy. Sekke looked at the black-haired diamond mage and said, "Well, dealing with you all here and now is an option. But just like you told me, you have a family to support. So killing you will leave a bad taste for me if your daughters get treated badly because of your death." Sekke gave a kind smile, seeing which Lotus gave a sigh and thought, he is a good kid. Plus, if we hand you all over to the authorities, they will get a chance to interrogate some soldiers from the Diamond Kingdom, and we will get merit because of that, which will help me get a promotion, said Sekke as he gave a thumbs up to the Diamond Kingdom mages, making them look at him with a deadpan look on their faces. And who knows, that your kingdom tried to negotiate to get you all back, since you all are slight high-ranked soldiers, well, except for the old man who is a top dog. And if the negotiations were to be successful, you all get to go back to your families, said Sekke as he patted Lotus's back and said, so cheer up. All the people around him except for Asta and Luck looked at him with an unsure expression on their faces. They were not sure whether to think that he was a kind person or not, but they just let him be like that. Well, whatever, there is no use thinking about it anyway. Let's just hope that everything remains fine for the both of us, said Lotus as he looked at Sekke. If not for the Clover and Diamond Kingdoms to be enemies, I would have asked you whether you want to marry one of my daughter or not. You seem to be a fine guy to be around, said Lotus. Sorry, not interested, old man, I am still too young for that. Your daughters would hate you more if you bring that topic to them, you know, said Sekke. Haha, I already know that, said Lotus as he gave a dry laugh and looked down with a saddened look on his face. He has already done that, thought Noelle and Sekke along with the rest of the Diamond Mages as they looked at Lotus. Well, it's not like you are going to win anyway. So it's alright if you don't want to accept my daughter, said Lotus as he looked at Sekke and the other Black Bulls with a mysterious smile on his face. Don't raise the flag, old man, said Sekke with a smirk as well and looked at Sekke. Are we still far? Asked Sekke, to which Sekke shook her head. Hearing that, Sekke stopped fooling around and walked forward while telling Luck to look after the Diamond Mages who was still recovering their mana. A word of advice, Dark Lord Kuan. Never be arrogant in your abilities, it will surely drag you down in future, said Lotus. A solid fact for you, old man. It's not arrogance, it's pride, and I have the prowess to back that pride up, said Sekke without even looking at him. Lotus just shook his head after hearing what Sekke said and just walked silently. He had faith in the trump card that he brought with him, and if the kind boy from Clover was not willing to follow his advice, then there was nothing that he could do. Sekke, on the other hand, just walked forwards while being attentive of the surroundings, though he didn't worry much as he had the best tracker/guide sitting on his shoulder leading him towards the treasure room. I don't know about daughters, but I am very happy to have you, Sekke, said Sekke as he caressed the bird on his shoulder with a smile on his face. Sekke didn't show a change in her expression but still nuzzled her head against his finger for a moment. My daughters are a lot prettier than that bird of yours, you know, said Lotus as he looked at the bird that Sells praised. Sekke just ignored the old man and said, Sekke is the best geezer. You cannot compare her to anyone. Sekke praised his familiar with a confident tone as he replied to Lotus. Sekke, who heard that, looked at him and thought, you are a great person too, and then patted his head with her wing, trying to calm him down and prevent him from bickering with the Diamond Mage. But as they were doing that, Luck, Sekke and Sekke immediately felt a huge disturbance in mana as a crazed smile appeared on Luck's face. It is strong, said Luck. Meh, so. Nothing for the Dark Lord, said Sekke. Huh? What happened? Asked Asta as he looked curiously at Sekke and Luck. Both their grimoires started floating up and the pages started flipping. Lighting creation magic, Thunder God's boots. Bronze creation magic, Bronze rider. Immediately lightning enveloped Luck's feet while Sekke's bike appeared in front of him. Stay here for a bit, okay, said Sekke as his other grimoire started floating as well. Dark debuff magic, Dark touch. Sekke's hand got enveloped in a dark aura as he moved forward to touch the Diamond Kingdom mages. Well, what are you doing? Hey, I can't see, yelled one of the Diamond Kingdom goons. Sekke didn't speak anything and just touched all of them, robbing them of their sights, and then grabbed Asta and Noelle before he put both of them in the sidecart and then rushed towards the source of the mana outburst. Chapter 44, Magic Knights vs. Mars. Sekke and the others were currently being led by Luck, who was running with a huge grin on his face. Luck! Don't jump off on your own, said Sekke, who was following Luck along with the other two rookies on his bike. Ha ha ha, the one who reaches that person first gets to fight him, said Luck as he looked back at Sekke. Sekke, can you lead us at this speed? asked Sekke as he looked at the bird. Seeker just shook her head in denial, clearly stating that their speed was too much for her to keep up with. Sekke sighed and just let do what he wanted. He will just jump in if Luck or the others gets their asses kicked badly. Though he didn't think there was a need for it, as both Luck and Asta are strong and Noelle had her new defensive magic to protect herself and others. Sekke just focused on driving through the dungeon paths, which Luck changed at a random basis and soon felt the mana signature to be closer and stronger. "Looks like your friend is going on a rampage," said Sekke as he looked at Asta. "You know," muttered Asta as he turned serious and narrowed his eyes. "We are there," said Luck as he jumped off the opening that appeared in front of them. "Hold on tight," said Sekke as he didn't slow down his speed, seeing which Noelle gripped the sidecart tightly while Asta stood up as his grimoire started floating beside him. "Leroy Jenkins," yelled Sekke as he appeared out of the tunnel on top of his bike, grabbing the attention of everyone present there. Sekke smirked as he held Noelle by her collar and jumped off the bike, which along with Asta went staring towards the huge sword made of crystals. "WHAA!" screamed Noelle as she suddenly found herself being grabbed by her collar. "Brace yourself," said Sekke as his grimoire started floating beside him. "Bronze magic, bronze body." Sekke clenched his teeth as he landed on the ground with his bronze-enhanced body making a huge crater on the ground. "That went well," said Sekke as he looked at himself and smirked, seeing that there was no injury. "Like hell that went well." "You idiot," yelled Noelle as she slapped Sekke's head, only to wince in pain because of hitting the metallic coating on Sekke's body. "Oh, you alright, Noelle?" asked Sekke as he didn't feel anything from her attack. "Ugh," groaned Noelle as she glared at Sekke. "It seems that you are fine. Now go and protect the others. We will deal with the look, Asta has already destroyed that huge-ass sword." "Well, it's only natural since dealing with magic is his speciality," said Sekke as he looked at the other, who were looking at Asta with disbelief, except for Yuno and Luck, who had a smile on their faces. "Well, can't have him outshine us." "Let's go, Noelle," said Sekke as he moved towards the other magic knights. "Oh, okay," said Noelle as she followed him as well. "You alright, Mimosa?" asked Sekke as he saw the ginger-head noble lying in a bed of flowers with a wound on her body. Sekke-san, yes, I am fine. I will heal in no time," said Mimosa with a slightly pained tone. Sekke gave a nod and then gestured Noelle to look after her. Noelle snorted in her normal tsundere way and then moved towards Mimosa. Sekke looked at Yuno and Klaus, who were badly injured, and just said, "So you two got your asses kicked, huh?" Hearing that, Yuno just looked at him and said, "I was just about to get serious there." Klaus, on the other hand, just ignored him as he was still shocked after seeing Asta effortlessly dealing with the mage they were losing against. Hey Sekke," called out Luck with an excited tone. Sekke looked at Luck, who pointed at the various crystal golems and said, "Let's see who destroys more of them." Hearing that, Cell smirked, seeing which Luck's grin widened. Both of their grimoires started flipping pages as both of them looked at the golems coming towards them. Lightning creation magic, Thunder God's gloves. Bronze creation magic, giant fists. Luck, who now had his lightning gloves, dashed forward and started fighting the golems. Sekke, on the other hand, just stood at his spot as he took his stance, who was copied by the huge bronze fists floating above him as the fists moved towards the golems and started smashing the golems like mosquitoes. "Oi, you have been whining for a while now. Stop being a bother already," said Noelle as she destroyed a golem heading towards Klaus with her magic, which somehow was able to hit it. How can this be? How is that peasant able to do things like that?" asked Klaus, hearing which Noelle sighed and told him about Asta. "How can that kind of power be in the hands of a peasant?" asked Klaus with disbelief. "Well, only he could possibly have that power in this world, you know," said Sekke as he smashed another golem. "That was my 17th, yelled Sekke as he looked at Luck. "Being someone without magic at all is the requirement to get that power. Do you think that you would have survived being someone without any magic till you get your hands on a grimoire?" asked Sekke as he looked at Klaus, who just remained silent. Sekke just shrugged his shoulders and said, "Whatever, it's not like you will understand that," and then looked towards the Asta, who was clashing against the crystal guy. Sekke then pointed his hand towards Klaus and fired magic bullet of the size of his fist, which passed beside Klaus and destroyed a golem that was behind him. "So just snap out and do your job as a magic knight." Or you want the great me to save your ass, said Sekke as he looked at Klaus. Klaus adjusted his glasses and said, "Shut up, that is not the way you talk to a noble," and immediately various spikes made out of his magic emerged from the ground and started piercing through the golems as well. But Sekke just ignored him and looked at Noelle and said, "Nice one, Noelle, your magic finally but its target. Sniff, I am so proud," and wiped off a single tear that came out of his eye. Hearing that, Noelle blushed from embarrassment and started telling it Sekke, seeing which Sekke just laughed. But soon Sekke stopped laughing as they heard rumbling coming from the direction of Asta and the crystal guy, and turned around only to see the crystal guy clad in a crystal armor swatting Asta away like a bug. Well, Asta got swatted. "Time for the Dark Lord to jump in," said Sekke with a smirk on his face as he raised his hand up and moved forward. "Hey, no fair. I want to take on that guy," solid luck as he looked at Sekke. But you got your head start on the earlier enemy, right? "It's my chance now," said Sekke as he looked at Luck. "Wait a minute," yelled Asta, who suddenly emerged from the rubble with most of his upper body in full display to the others. "It is my fight. I have to show that I can beat the guy who even Yuno couldn't beat," said Asta as he came towards Sekke and Luck and joined the argument. "Who said that I couldn't beat him? I was just about to counterattack that guy with a very strong spell which would have defeated him easily." "Move back, I can deal with him on my own," said Yuno as he joined the other three as well. "Huh, what the hell are you all even talking about? It's clearly my turn now." "You all got your chances before," said Sekke as he looked at the other three. "But didn't you beat that guy from before, so it's my turn," said Luck. "I am still not down." "My turn isn't over yet," said Asta in his usual loud tone. "If we are going by that, then I am not down either." "So it should be my turn," said Yuno as he looked at Asta, making him glare at Yuno. "Arg! You were clearly being beaten by him, so your turn was over," said Asta as he pointed his finger at Yuno. "And so was you, so it's my turn, you idiot," said Sekke as he pointed his finger at Asta. "Who the hell are you calling an idiot, you bastard?" replied Asta. "Huh, you of course." "You idiot," said Yuno. "Ha ha ha, this is getting exciting." "Hey, let's all fight each other," said Luck with an excited tone. Seeing the four magic knight arguing amongst themselves, Klaus, Mimosa, and Noelle were left totally speechless and were not sure what to say about it. "Are they really quarreling about who is going to fight that monster?" asked Klaus with a frown on his face. "Those idiots," said Noelle as she facepalmed and glared at her teammates. "Aren't they a lively bunch?" said Mimosa with a wry smile on her face. Mars, the diamond who the magic knights were battling right now, looked at the group of magic knights who were talking amongst themselves and entered a flashback. Once he was done remembering the beautiful days he spent with his friend, he snapped out of daze and glared at Asta and the others. "Don't stand in my way, you pebbles," said Mars in a cold tone as he in his giant crystal armor moved forward and moved his hands to smash all of them to the ground. Meanwhile, Sekke and the others, who were having an intense battle of rock paper scissors, totally ignored the crystal giant. "Stop copying me, you plot-armored idiot," yelled Sekke as he smacked Asta, who has been using the same action as him for the past few turns, ending the game in a draw. Suddenly Sekke noticed the giants coming towards them and glared at it as well. "Can't you see that we are in the middle of something?" yelled Sekke as he used his magic, making the giant fists that were made by him earlier to combine into one massive fist before it moved forward toward the crystal giant, sending it crashing against the wall and destroying all the crystals in an instant. Boom! The whole dungeon shook for a few seconds because of the impact, making every one of them to look towards the place where the crystal giant was sent flying. Soon they noticed an unconscious and wounded Mars falling down towards the ground, which made them realize what Sekke just hit. "Ha, ha, ha, as expected of me," said Sekke with a stiff smile on his face as he stood proudly and looked towards the fallen Diamond Kingdom mage. "You bastard," yelled Asta as he immediately started shaking Sekke's body, earning himself a smack from Sekke which pummeled him into the ground. Chapter 45, The Treasure Room. "Stay away, aware. Stay away, aware. Will you two stop that already?" said Sekke as he looked at Asta and Yuno, who were staring intently at him. "I will defeat you," said Asta as he pointed his finger at Sekke. "You are way stronger than I expected, but I will surpass you," said Yuno as he looked at him with a confident expression on his face. Seeing the two of them like that, the other magic knights felt awestruck at their declaration, since after watching how easily Sekke dealt with the diamond guy that was currently being sealed by Klaus's magic, but still felt a bit confident themselves and thought that they will become stronger as well. "Well, there is no harm in trying, so good luck," said Sekke with a deadpan look on his face. "Why, you bastard! You are totally making fun of me," yelled Asta. Sekke widened his eyes in surprise and said, "You are smart enough to tell that." Various tick marks appeared on Asta's face as he could guess that Cells was saying that he was stupid. Dash. All of them suddenly heard a snicker as they immediately turned towards Yuno, who was looking away while covering his mouth. He laughed. He clearly laughed. "Yuno can laugh? How dare you laugh at me?" Yuno turned around and stood straight with an expressionless face and said, "What are you all talking about?" "Whatever, let's stop talking about this," said Sekke as he stretched his body, when suddenly his eyes caught something, seeing which a mischievous smirk appeared on his face. He slowly moved towards Noelle and whispered, "Oh my, someone is intently looking at Asta's exposed body." Noelle immediately flinched in response and turned around to look at Sekke with a huge blush on her face. "Who said that I was looking at his beau-bod, that?" "I never said that it was you." "Ah, whatever, enjoy your youth, Noelle," said Sekke as he patted Noelle's shoulder, making her even more embarrassed as she was about to yell at him once again. "Ah, and congratulations on being able to hit your spell correctly in the previous battle. You have improved a lot," said Sekke as he gave a pat on the back of the silver-haired royal. He praised me, yes. I totally hit that spell earlier," mentally cheered Noelle as she felt slightly embarrassed on being praised. She snorted and said, "Of course I have improved. I am a royal, you know." Yeah, you are great," said Sekke with a deadpan time, making Noelle annoyed, but soon a smile appeared on their lips as they both felt happy for this improvement. Thank you," muttered Noelle in a low tone, but Sekke, who was just beside her, was able to hear it and said, "You are welcome, Noelle," making the tsundere even more embarrassed. "Oi, what are the two of you doing?" asked Asta as he looked towards Noelle and Sekke. "And nothing," replied Noelle as she hurriedly beloved away from Sekke, only to lose her balance after a few steps, which resulted in her getting saved by Asta, who caught her from falling. "Oh my, Noelle is so bold," said Sekke with a playful tone as he looked at Noelle. Mimosa, who saw that, covered her eyes with her hands but still peeked through in between her fingers and said, "How bold of you, Noelle-san." "Are you fine, Noelle?" asked Asta, who was holding Noelle's body. "WH. What do you think you are doing? And besides, aren't you embarrassed?" exclaimed Noelle as she smacked Asta's head and then started complaining. Asta, who heard that, looked at his clothes and widened his eyes in shock. "My robe's all tattered up. Magna-senpai will kill me." "Don't worry, Vanessa will fix that up in no time," said Luck as he showed a thumbs up. Anyway, getting to the important point, since we are the ones who reached here first, then that means that we are the winners, said Klaus as Yuno and Mimosa stood beside him. "Huh," said Asta as he looked at the glasses wearing Noble. "Hey now, wasn't the best about reaching the treasure room first?" "How come you are the winners?" said Sekke as he looked at the Golden Dawn members. "Huh, what are you talking about?" "This is the treasure room. Right in front of you," said Klaus with a confused look on his face, thinking whether Sekke was blind or not. "Yeah, how did you know that this is the treasure room for sure? Did you perhaps already looked inside?" asked Sekke, making all of them look at him with surprised look on their faces. "For all I know, this room could be here to deceive people, and there are a lot of traps set inside there," said Sekke as he shrugged his shoulders. Hearing his thoughts, the other magic knights started thinking about what Sekke said, except for Asta, who was chewing onto some leaf. Sekke, who done distracting the others, smirked as his glance fell onto Seeker, who just landed on his shoulder. "You weren't injured, right?" asked Sekke, to which the bird just shook her head. Sekke smiled hearing that as he caressed the bird's head. Anyways, since we were the ones who reached here first, we will be the ones who will check it and find out if this room is the treasure room or not," said Klaus as he shifted his glasses. Hearing which, Sekke just smiled and said, "Be my guest," and then gave a bow while pointing his hands towards the door. "Oi, Sekke, they will win," complained Asta. "Idiot, focus on your injuries first." What kind of wizard king are you gonna be if you get this injured after every fight, said Sekke. Just you wait and see. I will be a great wizard king and will then marry my beautiful sister Lily, declared Asta with his eyes twinkling a bit at the mention of his sister Lily. Cough cough asterisk. Noelle on the other hand started coughing after hearing the declaration. That's some damage, said Sekke as he patted Noelle's back trying to ease her out a bit. You do know that door is made up of magic, right? And it will take a lot of time to open that normally, said Luck. Yeah, it will give us enough time to grab a bite. I am hungry, said Sekke as he took out a small bag that was hanging on his waist and took out a lunch box from it. I asked Charmy to make us something. Want to eat it? Asked Sekke as he opened the box, which revealed a lot of different types of sandwiches in it. Yes, please, said Asta as he was about to take out some from the box. Wash you hands, you idiot, said Sekke as he pulled back the box and pointed at the pond where Mars was sent flying earlier. After the black bulls were done cleaning up, all of them found some rock to sit upon and had their snack while also curiously asking the Golden Dawn about their situation, which made Klaus pissed at them as he watched the black bulls enjoying the meal. Here, called Sekke as he walked towards the Golden Dawn members and called them out. All of them turned around to look at him and saw him offering them a box. We had way too much stuffed in there, so might as well share some with you all, said Sekke as he handed the box to Mimosa. Thank you, said Mimosa. Humph, there is no need for that, said Klaus in a slightly pissed off tone. Now, Klaus said, no need to be that salty. You guys need a break too besides, said Sekke as he looked at Asta and gestured something to him. You guys are taking way too long, said Sekke as Asta appeared in front of them and cut off a huge chunk of the door, making an opening for them to go in. Sekke's eyes widened from shock after seeing all the gold in there to the point that he even forgot to breathe for a second. He then stepped inside the room and said, all right, the black bulls reached the treasure room first. We win. Yeah, cheered Asta as he raised his sword up in the air. But immediately after that he started bickering with Klaus about how it was technically Golden Dawn's win. This is amazing, but how are we going to take all this back? Asked Noelle. Sekke turned around and looked at her but soon noticed Mimosa nibbling onto a sandwich and stared at her for a while. Seeing that Noelle followed his gaze and also saw Mimosa nibbling onto the sandwich and stared at her as well. Yuno, who had a sandwich in his own hand, looked at the two of them and looked away so as to not get stared at by those two. Mimosa, who felt the gazes on her, looked back at Sekke and Noelle and tilted her head in confusion. And immediately both Noelle and Sekke felt a jolt to pass through their bodies. That was cute, thought both of them at the same time, and then looked at each other only to avert their eyes as they understood that the other person had the same thoughts as well. About that, we will have someone carry the news about the dungeon back to the Magic Knight's headquarters, and then we will what dash, said Klaus. Read the mood at least, said both Sekke and Noelle in unison as they looked at Klaus, making the spectacled man took a few steps back because of shock. Sekke and Noelle snorted as both of them turned back to their normal selves and started looking around the room, which was soon followed by the others as each of them started roaming around. Seeker, who also felt something, nudged Sekke and flew off. Probably the new anti-magic sword. Anyways, let's start searching for something useful as well, thought Sekke as he was finally alone. Now then, from my understanding of Dungeoning 101 in anime and manga, a protagonist will get everything that is in the storage room if it's the first dungeon. And for that the protagonist must have some kind of storage magic or dash, thought Sekke as he started going deeper and deeper into the treasure room. A storage ring nearby a coffin or a skeleton, thought Sekke as he soon came across an opening which led to somewhere and soon passed through the dark path and saw a majestic coffin kept on a raised platform. Heh, what can I say? I am just smart, said Sekke as he flicked his hair. Chapter 46, The Hidden Room. Sekke stared at the majestic coffin for a while and then looked around the huge room he was in and whistled, see how majestic and beautiful the room actually looked. He then walked forward and was about to enter the hall, but just as he took the first step he got stopped by an invisible wall. A barrier, muttered Sekke as he placed his hand on the invisible wall and then knocked it a few times. Taking a step back, Sekke looked at the hall and took out his sword. Well, Extastion, do what you are best at, said Sekke as he passed his mana through his sword. Swinging his sword towards the barrier, Ecstase easily sliced through the layer of the barrier, opening a way for Sekke to enter inside the hidden room. It was a pretty high-level barrier to not show any excess damage after taking a Ecstase attack. "I hope the things in there are valuable as well," muttered Sekke as he entered the huge hall. Just as he entered the hall, Sekke looked up and saw that the inside of the hall was totally different from how it looked before he looked through the barrier, and was even more awestruck by the scenery inside the huge dungeon hall. "It's like a huge garden in here, a garden from a castle," said Sekke as he looked around the garden. He then kneeled down and touched the soil and grass and found out that it was real and not something made out of magic. "This place is messed up," thought Sekke as he looked back at the entrance from where he came from and noticed that the hallway he came from was totally dark and had totally different feel from the room he was in. "Well, no use fretting over it. This is a dungeon, and despite being the intelligent Dark Lord I don't know much about them," said Sekke as he looked at his surroundings and said, "I really want to show this place to Seeker, Mom, and Dad. The Black Bulls will make a mess of this place, so it's better to not take them here," said Sekke with a smile on his face. He then turned serious and then looked at the coffin that was surrounded by flowers and then walked towards it, being careful to not crush the flowers under his feet. Without thinking twice, Sekke placed his hand on top of the coffin, and after making sure that there was no trap on the coffin, he decided to remove the lid and check what was in there. "Please don't be alive. Please don't be alive," thought Sekke as he tried to lift the lid, which for some reason was not even moving a bit. "What the hell is this coffin made of?" said Sekke as he stopped lifting the lid. Immediately after that, his grimoire started floating beside him and pages started flipping. "Like hell it can stop the Dark Lord," said Sekke. "Bronze magic, bronze body." Immediately after that, Sekke's body changed to one made of bronze. Grabbing the lid once again, Sekke used his full muscle strength along with his magic's enhancement and started lifting it up. Rumble. Hearing the rumbling sound, Sekke smirked as he felt that the lid moved a bit. He clenched the lid even tighter, causing the shape of the place where he was holding to be deformed immediately, and soon after that the lid was thrown away by the motivated Sekke. Boom! Hearing the huge noise, Sekke looked towards the place where the lid got thrown and saw a huge dust cloud that rose up because of the weight of the lid. "That was probably heavier than Rock Lee's training weighs," muttered Sekke as he looked towards his hands, which threw such a heavy thing away. All of a sudden, Sekke suddenly felt something on his shoulder and turned around only to find a skull staring at him while placing its bony hand on Sekke's shoulder. Sekke looked at his shoulder and saw the bony hand and touched it with its finger. He then looked back at the skull, who stared back at him for a while when suddenly its mouth started moving. Clank clank asterisk. But instead of words, only the sound of bones smacking against each other was heard. Sekke, being the fearless and great Dark Lord he was, slowly removed the bony hand from his shoulders and took a few steps away from the skeleton. He then took a deep breath and said, "Holy F*** Sekke." The skeleton stopped moving its mouth and jumped off its coffin and tried to his behind it as soon as Sekke yelled out loud, "How the hell are you able to move? I don't feel any mana coming from you at all," said Sekke as he pointed his finger at the skeleton. "And who the heck are you?" The skeleton in response pointed its own finger at Sekke and started moving its mouth once again. "You do know that you are not actually speaking any words, right?" pointed out Sekke, making the skeleton stop itself. Then, as if the skeleton noticed something, it looked at its bony hands in surprise as he looked down at its body. It started to touch its skull with its bony hands but soon stopped. Seeing that it finally stopped, Sekke was about to ask something else, but all of a sudden the skeleton stood up and started running around while holding its skull and its mouth wide open. "Hey! How the hell are you even shocked?" "And that too, even more than me," said Sekke as he looked at the panicked skeleton. But despite what Sekke said, the skeleton didn't stop running and then ran away. "What the hell even was that?" asked Sekke, but soon shrugged his shoulders and focused back on the coffin and moved towards it. Looking inside, he found that the insides were totally clean and didn't even seem like it housed a skeleton inside it just a few moments ago. But ignoring that, Sekke's gaze fell on a single page that was kept there. Lifting it, Sekke went through what was written in it and snorted. "I cannot read this? What the hell is written in here? It looks like a page from a grimoire, which would make sense as no one other than the owner of the grimoire could understand what is written in it. Or someone who has learnt the ancient language written inside of grimoires. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Where is that storage magic item that I need? Said Sekke as he looked inside the coffin once again. But just as he said that, the page in his hand started glowing, and so did his bronze magic grimoire as it started flipping. Sekke watched the scene with surprise as the page flew from his hand and landed on top of his grimoire and merged with it. The grimoire and the page stopped glowing, and the grimoire closed itself and fell in Sekke's hand. Huh? Sekke looked at the grimoire in surprise as he immediately opened it and started flipping through the pages, and soon his eyes landed on the new page that had some new words written on it. What the? Eternal safe, don't tell it is the storage magic. You mean to tell me that the page that was in my hand was a Shenron in disguise? Said Sekke in disbelief as suddenly a large amount of thoughts passed through his mind and grabbed his head. Nuwu! Yelled Sekke as he started realizing what all could he have asked for. Meanwhile, the skeleton who ran away earlier just came back and looked at Sekke as if he was an idiot. Chapter 47, Safe. After guessing that the page that was present inside the coffin could have been a one-time Shenron, Sekke sat down beside the coffin while embracing his legs, feeling dejected. The skeleton was also sitting beside Sekke and was patting the Dark Lord's back, seeing that the human for some reason was feeling down and tried to cheer him up a bit. If only I knew it beforehand, muttered Sekke in a slightly sad voice. He then felt the bony hand on his back and turned to look at his side, only to find the skeleton patting him and looking at him without any expression on its face. Skull. Well, he is a skeleton after all, thought Sekke as he sighed. Can you understand me? Asked Sekke, to which the skeleton just gave a nod. Did you know what the page present along with you in the coffin was? The skeleton tilted its skull a bit, looking confused, or that's what Sekke felt, since the skull had no expressions on its face. Whatever, it's not like I can reverse time and do it over again anyway, said Sekke with a slightly annoyed tone. So what's your name? Right, you cannot speak. Alright, I will call you Ains from now on, said Sekke without even giving the skeleton, now named Ains, a chance to respond. The skeleton stared at Sekke for a while before giving a nod to Sekke. Sekke smirked and then pointed at himself and said, Good, now let me introduce myself. I am Sekke Bronzazza, also known as the Great Dark Lord. The skeleton stared at the smug Sekke for a while before giving a nod once again. So let me ask you a question that Professor Oak always asks. Are you a boy or a girl? Asked Sekke and looked at the skeleton. Boy, asked Sekke, to which Ains once again nodded. Alright, Ains-kun, do you know what place is this and if there is any treasure in this area? Ains just shook its head in denial, making Sekke give out a sigh of disappointment. You are of no use, Ains. Sasuga Ains sama my ass, said Sekke with a disappointment look towards the skeleton, who slumped its shoulder and looked down on being called useless. Well, what are you doing here anyway? Forget it, you cannot speak right now. Hey, do you get any urge to kill humans or anything like that? Asked Sekke. Ains immediately jolted its body and looked towards Sekke and shook its head furiously. Sekke smirked and said, Is that so? Then you are a good person, skeleton, I guess. Hearing his answer, Ains stopped shaking its head and looked at Sekke for a while before giving a nod once again. Sekke nodded as well and then decided to check his grimoire. His bronze magic grimoire started flipping pages, and soon the page that Sekke knew was not present before appeared. Bronze creation magic, safe of eternity. So that page changed my wish to a magic that will go along with my affinity. Let's test this out. Sekke stood up and looked around before his gaze fell on the coffin behind him. Mind if I use this, Ains? Asked Sekke as he looked towards Ains. Ains shook his head, giving his approval go ahead. Sekke nodded and then pointed his hand towards the coffin. Bronze creation magic, safe of eternity. Soon magic flowed out of Sekke's body as he widened his eyes a bit at the amount that it took. Still, it's not an unreasonable amount, thought Sekke as he focused back on the spell. Soon a huge safe appeared in front of Sekke, surprising both him and Ains. But before they could admire the design, the front of the safe opened and revealed its inside. Sekke's eyes started shining as he saw the inside of the safe, since it looked really nice and futuristic from inside. Not even saying anything, Sekke got near the safe and stepped inside. Greetings, my lord. Suddenly Sekke heard a voice in his mind and got a bit surprised and started looking around. Hey Ains, did you hear anything? But Ains just shook its head in denial. Was it the voice of the safe, and is it like that only I can hear it? Thought Sekke. It is precisely like that, my lord. Cool, thought Sekke as he heard the voice once again. Sekke then started looking around and soon his gaze fell on a display. It is touch screen, thought Sekke as he looked at the screen and gave a tap on it. Immediately after that the screen glowed and various options appeared on the screen. Sekke started fiddling around with the screen and seeing that he was busy, Ains got in the safe as well and started looking around. After fiddling with the screen for a while, Sekke understood the basic things that it can do. First of all, the storage space in the safe was unlimited, and was capable to suspend the time inside the safe if needed. It was also able to store in both living and non-living things. It can also store everything on its own if the target is already decided by the spellcaster. It can also make various spaces inside it, making it possible for Sekke to have his own room inside a safe if he wanted to, as well as manage the size of the room if required. All the functions of the safe are manageable by the screen that he was interacting with, and only he could interact with it. Though various functions like making different and personal spaces, automatic storing etc. required Sekke to use his mana, so he decided to not test all of them at the moment. All of a sudden Sekke felt a huge amount of mana coming from the treasure room Asta and the others were. He immediately jumped out of the safe and without noticing Ains, who was about to come out as well, closed the door of the safe and deactivated his spell. Chapter 48, Justice. Sekke, who just came out of the hall, was now back into the dungeon area as the surroundings turned back to normal. I need to hurry up, said Sekke as his grimoire started floating. Bronze creation magic, Bronze Rider. Sekke immediately jumped and got on top of the bike that appeared in front of him and passed his mana through it. Virum. Giving out a roar, the bronze motorbike rushed forward, leaving a trail of dust behind it. The treasure chamber. Back into the treasure chamber, Mars, who just woke up and was covered in a robe of flames and a huge armor made out of crystals, started walking towards the treasure room. I will destroy them, thought Mars as he advanced towards the treasure room and noticed the two girls standing in front of him. Narrowing his eyes, Mars focused his magic to find his grimoire and immediately felt a reaction from the room in front of him. What is happening? Asked Klaus as he saw that the grimoire freed itself from his hand and started releasing mana. Kalu-san, said Mimosa as she looked worriedly towards him. Immediately after that a large amount of crystals started coming out of the ground and captured Klaus, Yuno, and Luck, making them immovable. Wadash! Mimosa! Yelled Noelle as she came in front of Mimosa and shielded her from the incoming barrage of crystal projectiles. Mars, who just came in the room, looked around with an expressionless face, but soon a small smirk appeared as he noticed the mana-less Asta standing with a shocked look on his face. Noelle! Yelled Asta as he started to run towards Mars with an angry expression on his face. Where is the other person? Asked Mars as various swords made out of crystals appeared in front of him and started rotating. How dare you! But without even listening to his question, Asta took out his huge anti-magic sword, willing to beat the hell out of Mars. It's useless, I already know you abilities now, said Mars with a composed tone and fired the fast-rotating swords towards Asta and started advancing towards him. Asta parried off the rotating blades with slight difficulty, but soon started getting troubled by them as the speed of the projectiles increased. Various wounds started appearing on his body, making him a bit tensed. I will show you what happens to those who are weak, said Mars, who was now standing in front of Asta, and punched him with his huge crystal armor. Asta got sent flying straight through the wall, seeing which Seeker, who was in his path, moved away and saw Asta crash and destroy the wall and moving past it into a secret room. Well, he did got in there, but I need to find Sekke. Where is he? Thought Seeker as she started looking around. As I thought. Only the strong will survive, said Mars as he looked at the destroyed wall and then started advancing towards Asta. I need to let him know about the sword, otherwise, considering his usual behavior, he might even ignore it. Sekke's search needs to wait, thought Seeker, and then rushed towards Asta. Noelle-san. Noelle-san, repeated Mimosa in worry as she tried to heal the injured royal. Don't worry, I will heal you, said Mimosa as a dress with wings made of plants appeared on her body and a green glow started coming out of her hands. Mars, who heard some noise nearby, glanced towards Mimosa, who was healing the dying Noelle, and narrowed his eyes. He then turned around and started moving towards the girls. The strong will survive and the weak will die, said Mars with slight anger as he saw that the girl was trying to save the weak girl who was about to die. Various swords appeared around Mars once again and started rotating. Mimosa! Noelle! Yelled both Luck and Klaus as they saw the armored Mars preparing the attack. Mimosa, who heard their shout, got a bit terrified and turned around to see what was happening and noticed a giant in front of him. Justice Crash, who was sent flying after Sekke rammed him with his motorbike. Sorry for the delay, said Sekke as he landed in front of Mimosa, who was looking at him with her eyes widened. Sekke took out his sword and destroyed the incoming projectiles and then looked back towards Noelle. Why, Noelle, you still alive? Asked Sekke. Noelle. I can see you exposed boobs. You creep, said Noelle with a pained tone as she moved her hand to cover her chest only to find that it was covered. So you were alive, good job holding back till now, said Sekke as he walked towards the injured royal and looked at her face. He then glanced at Mimosa and said, Can you heal and save her? Mimosa, who was being called out by Sekke, immediately snapped out of trance and blushed. Why yeah sure. Leave it to me, said Mimosa loudly and then focused back on healing Noelle. Don't you dare die on me, alright? I still need to train that shitty control of yours, said Sekke as he glanced at Noelle. Snorted Noelle as she looked away from Sekke. Why you? Sekke suddenly heard a noise and looked up only to find Mars looking at him with an enraged expression on his face. Oh, you are still up? Oh wait, you have that recovery magic thingy going on, right? Well, let's get ready for round 2 then, said Sekke as he walked forward in front of Noelle and Mimosa and made a wall of bronze in front of them for their protection. Stay there, said Sekke as he looked at Noelle and Mimosa and then glanced back at Mars. Oh, by the way, where the hell is Asta? And as if being called, Asta came out of the hidden room with various wounds and bruises on his body and a new sword in his hand. Yeah. I am here, declared Asta as he looked at Mars. Shut up, you are too lewd, said Sekke as he glanced at Asta and saw the wound on his half-naked body. You, said Sekke in a cold tone. ANF glanced at Mars. What the dash? Whoa! How? Thought the people who could perceive magic in the hall and looked at Sekke with a shocked look on their faces. Sekke, who was releasing a huge amount of mana, started walking towards Mars with his grimoire floating beside him. How dare you do that to Asta? Sekke, there is no problem, I will be fine once I go back and get treated. These wounds will most probably take a week at most, said Asta with an embarrassed look on his face, seeing that Sekke got worried about him. Who the hell do you think is going to do the chores if Asta got injured, asshole? Yelled Sekke, ace a huge fist made of bronze alley in front of Mars and sent him flying up towards the ceiling. Said Asta with a shocked look on his face as all the thoughts about Sekke caring about him vanished from his mind. Chapter 49, That's my win. Sekke looked at the fallen crystal giant and then turned towards Asta. Go and free the others. I will handle him. Why, Sekke, complained Asta, but stopped as Sekke continued to stare at him with an expressionless face. Gee, got it, said Asta as he took a step back and gulped his saliva. Seeker, who was coming towards him, stopped after seeing the look on Sekke's face and sat down on top of Asta's head. I will kill you, said Mars with a muffled voice as he tried to stand up on his feet. Glancing towards the crystal giant, Sekke sighed and muttered, Guess there's no sparing him. All of a sudden a violet light came out of Sekke's hands and legs and his various sacred gears appeared on his body. Mars, who was now standing, glared at Sekke with bloodshot eyes and gave a war cry as he started running towards him in pure rage. Looks like he lost it, said Sekke as he looked at the giant crystal armor-wearing boy with pity and pointed his hand towards him. Absorption line. A glowing rope shot out of the gauntlet present on his hand and moved towards Mars at an incredible speed. Seeing the small rope coming towards him, Mars snorted as his grimoire started flipping and various rotating swords appeared in front of him and moved towards the line to cut it. Don't mock the Dark Lord by using a spell of that level, said Sekke with slight anger as he saw Mars using the same spell on him that he was using against others. I will crush a peb dash. Yeah, got it. Just shut the F***ck up, said Sekke as he interrupted Mars and then moved his hand to use the absorption lineage as a whip and destroyed the incoming projectiles in an instant. He then shot forward the line from his mother gauntlet as well and then moved the lines to encircle the rushing crystal giant. Ha! Mars screamed out louder as he closed in the distance between him and Sekke. Seeing that Sekke smirked and wrapped the lines around the giant's body. Arg! Groaned Mars as he started struggling to get out of the bind. Rejoice, I am going to show you what kind of strength the Dark Lord possess. Bronze magic, bronze body. Sekke clenched his fists as he looked at Mars with a crazed smile on his face and spread his arms wide. Immediately after that, a loud cracking noise was heard as the other magic knights looked at the scene with their mouths wide open. Mars too had his eyes wide open in shock as he saw how effortlessly Sekke destroyed his huge armor in an instant. No, 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 thought Mars as his grimoire started flipping once again. Sekke smirked seeing that Mars was still trying to put a fight and felt the large amount of mana that was being gathered by the Diamond Kingdom mage. This is not good. That much mana is way too much, said Klaus with a scared look on his face as he sensed the mana that Mars was gathering. Hey! You! Black Bull, get out of there, yelled Klaus as he tried to warn Sekke. Don't worry, whatever he is trying to do is totally useless against me, replied Sekke with a confident look on his face as he retracted the line from his sacred gear. I will crush you, Pebbles, declared Mars as a huge sword one way bigger than the one he made during his fight against Yuno and Asta appeared. Now that's something big. Sekke! Get out of there, yelled Asta as he rushed towards Sekke wanting to use his anti-magic to cut the sword. Sekke took a deep breath and then with a confident expression on his face looked towards Mars and said, there is a saying of a very smart person that I am recalling right now, let me enlighten you as well. Sekke smirked as his shadow turned darker and darker and started spreading out. What a drag, said Sekke as he looked at the sword which was coming towards him with a bored look on his face, but all of a sudden it stopped moving. What? Said Mars as he saw some kind of darkness extending out of Sekke's shadow which stopped the sword from coming towards him. And never forget that say dash. Arrah! Sekke, who got interrupted by the sudden yell, turned around to see Asta running towards him with his new sword in his hand. Oi! Stop, you idiot, said Sekke as he looked at his idiot teammate. But Asta totally ignored him, thinking that Sekke was trying to save him from danger. Gripping the sword tightly, Asta took aim at the huge sword which was suspended in mid-air and threw his new sword with full force. Fuck, cursed Sekke as he immediately shot forward his absorption line to stop the anti-magic sword. But in the end the anti-magic sword reached the huge sword earlier but first made contact with the shadowy aura which was stopping the giant sword. Uidio dash! Yelled Sekke, who was immediately attacked by Mars, who skillfully dodged the anti-magic sword and used the giant crystal sword to attack Sekke and send him flying. Asta, I will beat the crap out of you once we go back, you asshole, yelled Sekke as was still in the air. Sekke, yelled Asta. Sekkasayan, said Mimosa. You idiot! I warned you earlier, said Klaus. I will kill you all, said Mars, who used his huge sword and sent it to attack the rest of the magic knights. Not on my watch, said Sekke as he caught the anti-magic sword which was thrown earlier by Asta and used it to destroy the giant crystal sword. Shit! This one's gonna hurt a bit, said Sekke as he noticed the wall behind him that was coming closer and closer. Using his enhanced strength from his bronze body spell, Sekke braced himself for the impact. Boom! Crashing into the dungeon's wall, Sekke's eyes widened and some saliva spilled out of his mouth. He then started falling down with rubble from the broken dungeon wall coming down with him as well. I am gonna lock Asta in Yami-san's toilet for a whole day, said Sekke with a frown on his face as he once again braced himself for the incoming impact from the fall and the huge rubble that was about to fall on top of him. Meanwhile, Asta and the others, who were now back to focusing on Mars, were getting the crap beaten out of them as the mad and enraged Mars was spamming spells after spells on them without caring for mana consumption. Yuno, who got desperate and wanted to save everyone, got his shounen moment as he noticed that the time got stopped and the small horny fairy appeared in front of him and blew a mouthful of air from HAA. But as if not being bothered by the time stop, Sekke blew away the rubble and appeared with his sword in his hand. Let's do this. You really gonna get a one-way ticket to hell? Yelled Sekke as he raised his sword. Yuno and the small fairy looked at Sekke with a surprised look on their faces as Sekke felt an unknown but strong magic source in the surrounding and immediately glanced towards the wind spirit. He stared at the wind spirit for a while, but soon a small mocking grin appeared on his face. "EX dash," yelled Sekke as a huge amount of mana burst out through the blade of his sword and the time flow started getting normal. "Caliba," said Sekke as he swung his sword down as wave of magic energy got fired towards the giant crystal sword and Mars. As if realizing something, the wind spirit's face scrunched up as she too blew out her breath filled with magic and sent it towards the giant sword. She then looked at Sekke with a look which said, "I won't lose." But Sekke tot all ignored her and shot his absorption lines forward and grabbed Asta, Noelle, and Mimosa with them, surprising Mimosa, who got scared of being wrapped around by a tentacle all of a sudden. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. A huge explosion engulfed Mars and his sword, which shook the whole dungeon, making the magic knights except for Sekke widen their eyes from shock. "That was my win," declared Sekke as he glanced at the wind spirit, who looked at Sekke with an angry gaze. Sekke, who was only able to feel the spirit's mana, was unable to see her expression but still had a triumphant smirk on his face. "She vanished," muttered Sekke as he stopped feeling the magic power of the spirit from his surroundings. The dungeon is about to collapse," yelled Klaus as he saw the dungeon, which got way too damaged by Sekke's and the spirit's combined attack. "Bloody hell," muttered Sekke as he saw the damage caused by his and the fairy's attack earlier, as he saw that their attacks destroyed and passed through more than 10 whole rooms. Chapter 50, Believe in Me. Seeing the collapsing dungeon, Seeker immediately rushed towards Sekke and sat on top of his shoulder, wanting to know his plan to escape. Seeing the bird looking at him curiously, Sekke smiled and said, "Don't worry, it is going to be fine." He then looked at Asta and the girls who were wrapped in his sacred gear's tentacles and said, "Mimosa, can I trust on you to keep Noelle alive?" Mimosa, who snapped out of trance after hearing Sekke's question, nodded her head without thinking, but soon she turned serious and said, "I will not let anything happen to Noelle-san." Sekke nodded and then looked at Asta and said, "Just wait till we reach back to base. I will make sire that you experience what it really is." "Oi! What was that for?" asked Asta, but Sekke ignored him and looked at the remaining magic knights who were coming towards him. "We need to get out of here. The dungeon is going to collapse," said Klaus with a panicked tone. He then glanced at Yuno, who nodded and used his magic to make a small twister appear below them and carried all of them up in the air. "Arg!" groaned Yuno as he felt a bit difficulty in carrying all of them and dealing with the falling rubble. Seeing that, Sekke started firing the magic bullets to destroy the rubble which was being left out by Yuno's wind magic. "Seeker, go on top of Asta's head," said Sekke. Seeker started at Sekke for a while but soon widened her eyes and shook her head in denial. Sekke sighed and said, "Don't worry, I know what I am doing. Has there ever been a time when I have been wrong?" Hearing which, Seeker gave a nod, making Sekke stare at her without saying anything. "But I have never been in danger, right?" To which Seeker shook her head in denial once again, causing another state off between the Dark Lord and his familiar. "Seeker dash," said Sekke, but Seeker pecked his head once and then patted her chest with one of her wings and then moved it forward. Seeing Sekke grinned and then smacked his chest twice and then fist bumped with Seeker. "Well then, together as always, partner," said Sekke, to which even Seeker's apathetic expression cracked up and a smile appeared on her face. "Asta, Luck, Noelle, make sure to get out of here alive," said Sekke as he looked at his squad mates. Sekke, yelled Asta as he saw Sekke giving them a casual salute as he jumped down from the wind platform made out of Yuno's magic. "Oi! Sekke! What are you doing? Do you want to die? Sekke-san!" Sekke, who was falling down, used his magic. Bronze creation magic, Gaster Blaster. Bronze creation magic, Countless Swords. Sekke also made his sword big enough to stand on top of it and covered it with bronze and floated on top of it. "Hey! Make sure to not make my hard work go to ruin. Reach the surface safely," said Sekke loudly as he started blasting off the rubble falling towards the other magic knights. All of them yelled at Sekke, trying to say something, but were not audible to him at all. Even Asta's voice was not reaching him. Sekke waved his hand as he saw the other magic knight's figure getting smaller and smaller. Well, I helped them in the hard course of the route, now like it on the job, said Sekke as he looked towards Seeker. Seeker tilted her head in confusion, wanting to know what her partner was planning in a deadly situation like the one they were in. Sekke smiled and said, "Let me show you a new spell that I learned." But suddenly both of them felt new magic signatures entering the area, making them turn to look in the direction of the source. "Oh, the Dark Lord is still here, huh?" said Lotus as he looked at Sekke with a helpless smile. Sekke looked at Lotus and his subordinates who entered the treasure room and concluded that his spell's effect wore off. "How about this Dark Lord in one dash?" But before Lotus could finish, Sekke's grimoire started flipping. Bronze magic, eternal safe. As Sekke used his spell, the safe appeared behind the Diamond Kingdom mages. Sekke supplied more magic to it to make a new room for inside it, after which the safe opened and sucked the Diamond Kingdom magic knights inside along with some of the gold treasure. Seeker, who saw the new spell, widened her eyes in surprise as then looked at Sekke, who looked back at her with a grin on his face. "Amazing, right?" to which Seeker gave a nod. Sekke laughed out loud and said, "I will show you the insides once we get out of here, but before that dash." Making the safe move towards him, Sekke used the screen at the front and made a new space inside the safe. The safe opened once again as it started sucking up all the gold and other treasures inside. "Ha, I am rich! I am rich," declared Sekke as he raised up his fists in the air and punched away a huge block of stone with his enhanced strength of his bronze body spell. Seeker looked at her partner and face-palmed after seeing his antics. Soon she realized what kind of the situation they were in and started looking around and then smacked Sekke's head with her wing to bring him back to reality. "Wah, Seeker? That was rude of you," complained Sekke, earning himself another smack from Seeker, who gestured him to look around. "Oh, this don't worry," said Sekke as he looked back at the safe, which was still sucking in the treasure. Seeker looked a bit worried, but Sekke patted her head and as he focused on destroying the rubble which was about to fall on them. Once Sekke made sure that most of the treasure was sucked up, he took a deep breath and said, "Let's get going then. Seeker, you know what to do, right?" to which Seeker gave a nod and started pointing her wings in the direction which led to the exit. Sekke immediately rushed forward as he flew on top of his sword. Avoiding and destroying the rubble falling into him, Sekke increased his speed as he felt the mana of the dungeon dissipating, which meant that the dungeon was about to disappear soon. "It's disappearing faster than I expected," muttered Sekke, to which Seeker, who felt the same, started worrying. But contrary to her, Sekke smirked as his mana started radiating out of his body. Feeling the mana that was coming out of Sekke, Seeker looked at him with a confusion. Feeling her gaze, Sekke looked at his familiar and said, "Don't worry, Seeker, we will get out of here safe and sound and then ask Charmy to prepare a feast for us. Believe in me who believe in myself." Sekke's grimoire started shining brightly and so did his sword on which he was flying. Bronze creation magic, weapon make dash. Sekke's hand started glowing brightly as he raised it upwards. Giga drill break. Forming a huge drill on top of his hand, Sekke's grin widened and he thrusted his hand forward as the drill started rotating. "Ecstase! Booster!" yelled Sekke as Ecstase fired a beam from its hilt, pushing itself forward and increasing the speed at which they were flying. "Seeker," said Sekke, making Seeker snap out of trance as she started guiding him once again. Seeing that Seeker was back in action, Sekke smiled, seeing which Seeker smiled as well, and both of them drilled through the rest of the way. Soon Seeker dropped her wings down and then gave a thumbs up, wings up, seeing which Sekke gave a thumbs up as well. Sekke then took a deep breath and then looked up and saw the light in front of him. "I know, we made it," declared Sekke as they drilled through the ground and made it outside. Sekke/SAN, said the Magic Knights as they saw Sekke and Seeker coming out of the dungeon. That's the end of this tale for now. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in part 3. Peace.